Chapter 4407. Did an ultimate powerhouse just die? Duan Lingtian was stunned by the scene in front of him. He only regained his senses after a long while. In the next moment, the giant ape pagoda, Mengsha, and the other great demons around him started to howl. Their howls were filled with joy and excitement. Lord Demon Venerable is invincible. Lord Demon Venerable is invincible. The group of great demons opened their mouths and roared. They were like the most devout people who were looking up to their emperor. Their Qiming Mountain had won the first victory this time. This also meant that the final victory would belong to them. After all, one of the 5 ultimate powerhouses had died in the battle against the Demon Venerable of Qiming Mountain and the foreign aid that the Demon Venerable had asked for. How could the remaining 4 be a match for them? Boom! Boom! In the next moment, Duan Lingtian saw a huge blood-red cloud appear in the sky. It covered the sky and the earth and continued to spread in all directions. When the blood-red cloud had gathered into a blood-red cloud that stretched for tens of thousands of miles, it started to rain heavily. This rain was different from normal rain. It was a blood-red rain. A blood-red rain fell from the sky and dyed the entire land red. The outer city of Dancing Sun City was in ruins. Originally, it was just a blood-red stream. However, this time, it was a blood-red river. Even the inner city of Dancing Sun City was not spared. Tens of thousands of miles of blood-red clouds and blood-red rain usually meant that an ultimate powerhouse had died. Today, the ultimate powerhouse who had died was the ultimate powerhouse of the Shui family, one of the 5 great families of Dancing Sun City, Shuizheng. Shuizheng was also the oldest person in the Shui family. He was the real antique of the Shui family. Because of his great strength, he was still alive. And now, he had fallen. Bang! In the ancestral hall of the Shui family, the soul orb that was placed in the middle of the Shui family's ancestral hall exploded. Although the Shui clan members had a bad premonition when they heard the other supreme expert's mournful cry, it was only an ominous premonition. They felt that the Shui clan's ancestor was not so weak as to be unable to withstand a single blow. And now, it was confirmed. The ancestor of the Shui clan, the backbone of the Shui clan, had fallen. Patriarch. Ancestor. Within the Shui family, the Shui family's upper echelons, led by the current head of the Shui family, all had pained expressions on their faces. Even more Shui family members had faces full of fear and panic. The Shui family was finished. Everyone from the Kuei family, enter the ancestral shrine. All members of the Yang family, enter the ancestral shrine. At this moment, in the sky above the Dancing Sun City, with the death of the Shui family's strongest warrior, Shuizheng, the other 4 strongest warriors of the 5 families in the Dancing Sun City no longer had the will to fight. They all sent voice transmissions back to their families, telling them to go to the ancestral shrine. Their ancestral shrines had entrances that led to the small worlds in their bodies, which could accommodate all the people in their families. However, in the next moment, their expressions changed. As the members of the 4 great clans rushed into their respective ancestral shrines, a terrifying freezing power swept out from within and swept everyone away, turning them into ice sculptures one after another. Only a few powerful upper-level ultimate gods managed to escape. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past, and the ancestral shrines of the 4 great clans collapsed, shattering many of the ice sculptures. One by one, those who were still alive a moment ago died in an instant. The expressions of the remaining 4 strongest warriors of the 5 great clans in the Dancing Sun City changed. Only now did they realize that the Frost King had not only set up a formation to deal with them, but he had also cut off their escape route. Run. We can't save them. Let's split up and run. I don't believe that the 2 of them can kill the 4 of us. No matter who survives, we must find a way to avenge them in the future. This is an irreconcilable grudge. The remaining 4 strongest warriors of the 5 great clans in the Dancing Sun City hurriedly sent voice transmissions to each other. Frost King, the grudge of the annihilation of our clan is irreconcilable. I'll definitely seek revenge from you in the future. The old woman of the 4 was the first to shout. Then, her body swayed, and a bloody light wreaked havoc around her. In the next moment, She seemed to have disappeared into thin air. You want to run? The Chi-Ming demon venerable sneered disdainfully. Then, he punched the void thousands of miles away from the dancing Sun City, and the old woman who was in a sorry state was knocked out. Because she had forcefully used her blood essence secret technique to break through the Frost King's formation, the old woman was already severely injured. Now that she was even more injured, she did not dare to stay any longer and continued to run away. When the Chi-Ming demon venerable saw this, he was about to chase after her when he realized that the other three people had also risked their lives to break out of the Frost King's formation. Moreover, they were all fleeing in different directions. The Chi-Ming demon venerable and the Frost King looked at each other and chased after two of the remaining three people, killing them one by one. When the other party forcefully broke out of the formation, he was already severely injured. When he fought with them again, he did not even last 10 moves. Another two strongest warriors had fallen. Boom, boom, boom. High up in the sky, the blood clouds that were just about to disperse gathered once more. The blood rain that had just stopped poured down once more, dyeing the ground even darker. Patriarch, Patriarch. In the inner city of the Dancing Sun City, the people from the other two clans were also in despair. As for the people from the other two clans who had successfully escaped, they were not any better. All of them were in despair. It's over, it's over. Although the patriarchs of the two clans had successfully escaped, they did not have the time to save them. It was obvious that they had abandoned them. Of course, they knew that the patriarchs of the two clans had no other choice. If they did not abandon them, none of them would be able to survive in the end. I only hope that the patriarch can avenge us in the future. I thought that there might be many ways to die in the future. Maybe I'll be killed by the heavenly tribulation, or I'll be killed by someone outside, or I'll be killed by someone outside. However, I never thought that one day I would be killed by the strongest warrior. Most of the people from the 5 clans in the inner city of the Dancing Sun City were prepared to die. There were also many people who tried to escape, trying to take advantage of the chaos and escape. However, just as they moved, the voice of the Chi-Ming demon venerate had already spread across the sky of the Dancing Sun City. Little guys, I don't want any human to leave the Dancing Sun City alive. As soon as the Chi-Ming demon venerate finished speaking, the group of Chi-Ming demon venerate who had been guarding around the Dancing Sun City roared and charged into the city. Some of the people from the 5 clans who had just left the city directly faced the group of Chi-Ming demon venerate. They had already lost their will to fight. Coupled with the fact that they were outnumbered by the group of Chi-Ming demon venerate, none of them had the strength to resist at all. One by one, they were killed by the Chi-Ming demon venerate. Taming Sha, where's that human? At this time, in another place outside the Dancing Sun City, the Bat Chi-Ming demon venerate did not see the human beside them. It seems that you don't trust the Chi-Ming demon venerate. You think that the Chi-Ming demon venerate will let you, Taming Sha, go. It's good that he's gone. The giant ape Taming Sha grinned. Otherwise, if the demon venerate really wants to let him go, even though I owe him a favor, I can't help him. Taming Sha, you should have known when he left, right? The Bat Chi-Ming demon venerate looked deeply at Taming Sha and asked, just now, you took the initiative to invite us to meet your adoptive father. Was it to give him a chance to leave under our watch? Taming Sha could not help but rub the back of his head when he heard this. He grinned and asked, was it so obvious? You even found out. Forget it. The Bat Chi-Ming demon venerate shook his head. Let him go. He obviously isn't from the 5 clans. Even though he's stronger, the demon venerate won't care too much about his departure. Duan Ling Tian had already teleported out of Dancing Sun City before the other 2 supreme powerhouses from the 5 great clans of Dancing Sun City died. When he left, it was just when the 4 clans of the city had entered their respective ancestral shrines and were killed. At that time, he knew that the remaining 4 supreme experts of the 5 clans of the city would either fight with their lives on the line or flee in different directions. And this also meant that the battle of the Dancing Sun City had come to an end. Once the battle ended, if he did not leave, he would be noticed by others. He might even be noticed by the demon venerate of the chilling Nether Mountain and the supreme expert, Frost King. Even though he had no enmity with them, Who knew what supreme experts were thinking? After the lesson from the Crimson Demon of the Crimson Demon Ridge, he only had one thought about supreme experts. He could not afford to offend them, but he could hide. Too strong. Duan Ling Tian sighed as he fled. That Chi Nether Demon Venerable and Han Wang from Chi Nether Mountain joined forces and easily defeated the joint forces of the 5 supreme powerhouses from Dancing Sun City. Moreover, they even managed to kill one of them. Even though the 5 supreme experts of the Dancing Sun City were careless and allowed Frost King to take the initiative, this is enough to show how terrifying Frost King is. I wonder if that Frost King is a human, a greater demon, or some other life form. The scene he saw today had a great impact on Duan Lingtian. This was the first time he had seen a battle between supreme experts. Moreover, it was a battle to the death. In this battle, he had personally witnessed the fall of a supreme powerhouse. As for what happened after that, even though he did not witness the fall of the other ultimate experts, the blood clouds that gathered once again, and the blood rain that had just stopped, were telling him that, this time, there was more than one supreme expert who had died. A supreme expert who stands at the peak can die in just a blink of an eye. There's a huge gap in strength even between supreme experts. I wonder how strong Yunqing Yin is compared to the other paragons. Zhang Xian muttered to himself. Duan Lingtian's eyes gleamed coldly when he thought about this. A hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. Next, I'll head to the city where Wang Yiyuan's clan is and fulfill his last wish. That way, I'll be able to return the favor of the treasure he gave me before he died. After leaving the Dancing Sun City, Duan Lingtian did not wander aimlessly. He planned to head to the city where Wang Yiyuan's clan was located. When he was in the Dancing Sun City, he had already found out where Wang Yiyuan's clan was located. It was not close to the Dancing Sun City. Even with his current strength, it would take him at least 3 months to reach the city if he traveled at full speed without any obstacles. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian had spent a huge sum of money in the Dancing Sun City to exchange for a map that included the city where Wang Yiyuan's family was located. On the map, the locations of the supreme powerhouses were marked. Even the Crimson Devil Ridge was on the map. Chapter 4408. With the map in hand, Duan Lingtian was confident that his journey would be smoother and safer even though it was further than any other journey he had taken in the Outer Realm. With his current strength, as long as he was not attacked by a supreme expert or a group of top high-level ultimate gods, he would be able to escape unscathed. Whoosh! After Duan Lingtian left Dancing Sun City for a period of time, he took out a divine flying ship as a means of transportation. In the Outer Realm, many people usually use divine flying ships as a means of transportation. However, whenever they neared a city, the divine artifact would be put away. That was because in the Outer Realms, there were some experts who couldn't bear to see someone drive a divine artifact into a city. It was too ostentatious. It was just a divine flying ship. What was there to show off? In the Outer Realm, divine gems were also a common currency in the most basic cultivation aid. When he was still in the god-defying world, Duan Lingtian had accumulated a huge amount of divine gems. In addition, he had used the divine elixirs he had refined for cultivation, and now he was using the divine condensation spring for cultivation, so divine gems could not be used for cultivation at all. Now, the only use of divine gems in his hands was to trade and to provide power for the divine flying ship. Of course, in the Outer Realm, not everyone was willing to accept divine gems even if it was a trade. Most of the people bartered for items. Duan Lingtian had experienced this when he was in Dancing Sun City, and even earlier when he was in the Ruined City. Although divine gems could be used as a currency, both parties had to be willing to accept it. If the other party was not willing, there was nothing one could do. Take the items in Duan Lingtian's possession, for example. If they were only ordinary items that he did not care about, he would be willing to sell them to others for divine crystals. However, if it was something of high value and was priceless, he would not sell it no matter how many divine gems others offered. He only wanted to exchange for something that was also priceless, but he urgently needed. Because of this, in the Outer Realm, it was difficult to determine the value of high-value items in terms of divine gems. It was completely dependent on the value and status in the eyes of the person who needed it. For example, if a person urgently needed a treasure and the other party wanted to take advantage of the situation to raise the price, the transaction would often be overpriced. Whoosh! With the divine flying ship as a means of transportation, Duan Lingtian was happy and leisurely. He only needed to order the divine flying ship to turn after flying for a distance. In the outer realm, the divine flying ship could not fly in a straight line all the way to the destination because it would pass by some supreme expert's forces. As for those ultimate powerhouses, they would often treat any life forms that trespassed into their territory as an enemy and deal them a heavy blow. When I was in the god-defying realm, the supreme expert was a legendary existence. Even I only saw the supreme expert before I left the god-defying realm. Lingtian's gems, Lingtian, gems of Lingtian's Lingtian, gemses, Lingtian's S gems. Gems Lingtian's S to gems to Lingtian, to gems Lingtian, gems. Of course, he knew that the supreme experts who ruled gems of Lingtian's Lingtian were basically natives of the outer realm. There were very few supreme experts from the 10,000 worlds. Apart from those who did not have a sense of responsibility to their home domains and might have the time to rule gems of Lingtian, the supreme experts from the 10,000 worlds basically stayed in their respective domains to guard their homeland. Try Mad 1, Gad 2. Even the supreme experts of the 10,000 worlds' three great domains, who were recognized as the strongest, basically stayed in their domains and would only occasionally come to the outer realm. Of course, even in the outer realms, the top supreme experts of the three realms were top-notch, heaven-defying existences. Wang Yiyuan's last wish was simple. He wanted his sister to settle down properly. According to him, if his sister were to stay at home without his protection, she would only be a tool for marriage in the future. He hopes that I can help his sister settle down so that his sister can live a carefree life. This was what Wang Yiyuan had entrusted to Duan Lingtian before his death. Now, I'll see what his sister thinks. As long as it's within my power, I'm willing to lend her a hand. Duan Lingtian murmured to himself. With Duan Lingtian's speed, it would only take him 3 months to reach the city where Wang Yiyuan's family was located. However, even with the speed of a divine weapon spaceship, which was comparable to an ordinary upper-level ultimate god, it would still take more than half a year to reach the city. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Along the way, the divine weapon spaceship flew by ostentatiously and attracted many people's attention. Some even blocked the way and robbed them. However, all of the intruders were killed by Duan Lingtian without exception. The strongest among them was an upper-level ultimate god who had just consolidated his cultivation base. In front of Duan Lingtian, he was no different from a lower-level ultimate god. Of course, although he killed many people, he did not gain much because the spatial rings in their hands were self-destructed. Only their divine weapons ended up in Duan Lingtian's hands. There were a few people who removed the ownership of their spatial rings for the sake of survival. However, that little bit of gain was nothing to Duan Lingtian. It was nothing to him. After all, why would those who were really rich in the outer realm go to the extent of robbing people halfway? Sir, judging from the direction you're heading towards Lanshao City. I wonder if you can give us a ride? Suddenly, a voice came from outside the divine weapon spaceship. It was the voice of an old woman. Her voice was old and frail. It was clear that she was injured. Cough, cough. A few coughs were heard. Duan Lingtian looked up and saw an old woman with a delicate young woman walking side by side with his divine weapon spaceship. The old woman coughed up blood and looked at his divine weapon spaceship with a hint of hope. The young woman was in a hurry, and her eyes were filled with concern and worry. She's right in front. Go after her. It's not easy to wait for this little girl to leave the Ye family. Quickly go after her, capture her, and present her to the chief. A few voices came from behind the divine weapon spaceship. Although Duan Lingtian was not a person who liked to meddle in other people's business, he could not help but stand up when he saw this. Although he did not know what was going on, the people behind seemed to be the kind of people who would kidnap women. He could not turn a deaf ear to them. Granny, they're catching up. Let's keep a distance from this divine weapon spaceship, lest the owner of this divine weapon spaceship is related to us and implicate him. Outside, the heavily injured old woman, who was carrying the flying girl, said anxiously when she heard the voice behind her. Try Mad One, Gad 2. Cough, cough. You little girl, you're just too kind. The old woman coughed up a few more mouthfuls of blood, and then took the young woman away from Duan Lingtian's divine weapon spaceship. Obviously, she wanted to cut ties with Duan Lingtian. However, what they did not expect was that as soon as they moved to leave, the divine weapon spaceship stuck close to them. Then, they saw a purple figure at the top of the divine weapon spaceship. It was a handsome young man in a purple robe. Come in. Duan Lingtian looked at the master and servant in front of him and said lightly, Big brother. The young woman looked grateful. Thank you for your kindness. However, I think it's better if we don't implicate you. This place is not far from Lanshao City. We should be able to reach Lanshao City before they catch up. Once we reach Lanshao City, they won't dare to mess around anymore, the young woman said optimistically, but the old woman with her had a bitter expression on her face. It seemed that her young mistress did not see that she was an arrow at the end of its flight. If not for her lack of confidence, she would not have taken the initiative to ask for help when she saw this spaceship on the way. With her injuries, I'm afraid she won't be able to bring you to Lanshao City before the people behind us catch up with us, Duan Lingtian said lightly. Naturally, he could see that the old woman in front of him was an arrow at the end of its flight. It could even be said that it was not bad that she could hold on until now with such serious injuries. When the young woman heard this, her expression changed drastically. She quickly glanced at the old woman beside her and saw the bitterness on the old woman's face. All right, you don't have to leave. I'll help you get rid of this tail. Duan Lingtian glanced at the old woman. Then, his body swayed as he left the flying divine weapon and kept the flying divine weapon. At the same time, he stopped in midair and turned around to look at the few black dots in the distance that were getting closer and closer. Young mistress, it seems like this person is more powerful than I thought. The old woman was pleasantly surprised. Since this person dared to say that, it was obvious that he was confident in dealing with the people behind them. At this moment, she also stopped in her tracks with the young woman in tow. At this moment, the few black dots in the distance continued to grow bigger. In just a dozen breaths' time, they had already arrived in front of them and were staring at them covetously. 2 old men and 3 middle-aged men were dressed casually, but their eyes were on Duan Lingtian at this moment. Who are you? Do you want to help them? One of the 2 old men had white hair and white brows, but he looked like a middle-aged man. He stared at Duan Lingtian vigilantly and asked in a deep voice, I'll give you 3 breaths' time to disappear from my sight. Duan Lingtian did not even look at the old man. He just casually glanced at the 5 people in front of him and stood with his hands behind his back, waiting for their response leisurely. Sir, I'm the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea, the old man said in a deep voice. The Blood Sea was also a large mobile force around Lanshao City. They had been active around Lanshao City for more than 1,000 years. Due to the fact that their leader had the strength of a peak upper ultimate god and did not have a fixed base camp, even if some ultimate powerhouses wanted to encircle and annihilate them, they could not do anything unless the ultimate powerhouses were personally involved. Chapter 4409. You have 2 breaths of time left. Just when the old lady and the young lady thought that this kind-hearted purple-clad young man would back off after hearing that he was from the Blood Sea, the young man's next words were completely out of their expectations. They did not expect the young man to be so aggressive. Were they not afraid of the Blood Sea at all and did not put it in their eyes? Or were they from other places and did not know what the Blood Sea meant? Left guardian of Dharma, why are you wasting your breath on him? Just kill him. Among the other 4 people, one of the 3 middle-aged men snorted coldly, and the gaze he looked at Duan Lingtian was filled with icy cold killing intent. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame us for being merciless. The old man who claimed to be the left guardian of Dharma was furious. Even if the young man was a descendant of an ultimate expert, the Blood Sea was not afraid of him. So what if he was killed? After all, the Blood Sea would have to move away after achieving their goal. By then, even if an ultimate expert wanted to find them, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. Boom, 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 boom. The 5 people from the Blood Sea vibrated with divine power and the power of law. The heaven and earth phenomenon also appeared. They were the best among the upper ultimate gods. Even the 3 weaker middle-aged men gave Duan Lingtian a feeling that they were not any weaker than the giant ape great demon that he had encountered in Dancing Sun City. The 2 old men's strength was comparable to the personal demon guard of Crimson Demon Ridge. Is there an ultimate expert behind the Blood Sea they mentioned? Duan Lingtian asked the old woman behind him through voice transmission when he saw the 5 people charging toward him and displaying their strength. When the old lady heard this, she quickly regained her senses and replied instinctively, "The Blood Sea organization doesn't have a supreme powerhouse. However, the leader is a powerhouse who has comprehended the law of death to the perfection stage." Comprehended the law to the perfection stage. Duan Lingtian had encountered many such existences since he came to the outer realm. The first one was Crimson Devil's personal devil guard, Wu Tsang. Later on, in Dancing Sun City, they saw 3 great demons who had comprehended the laws to the lesser perfection stage. They were the 3 strongest great demons under the Qi Ming demon venerate of Qi Ming Mountain. When they attacked, they also used the power of law of the lesser perfection realm. However, the difference between comprehending an ordinary law to perfection and comprehending one of the 4 supreme laws, the law of death, to perfection was completely different. Because if one wanted to step into the minor perfection of a supreme law, it was more than 10 times more difficult to step into the minor perfection of an ordinary law. And its power was even greater. Even if one had just stepped into the realm of minor perfection, they would still be stronger than those who had been stuck in the realm of minor perfection for many years, or even those who were close to great perfection. If it was an ordinary law that had been comprehended to lesser perfection, then the 2 old men from the Blood Sea before him had already comprehended the laws of fire and the laws of metal to that level. It illuminated 100,000 li. Compared to the space and time laws that Duan Lingtian currently possessed, it could be said to be much stronger. Moreover, the divine weapons in their hands were all supreme divine weapons. They don't have any supreme experts behind them, nor are they the leaders of their respective organizations, but they all have supreme divine weapons. 5 people and 2 supreme divine weapons. This Blood Sea organization does have some skills. While Duan Lingtian sighed in his heart, his expression was as calm as before. He had asked the old woman if there were any supreme experts in the Blood Sea organization because he wanted to confirm if he should hold back. If there were any supreme experts, holding back and defeating them would be the best choice. He did not want to offend a supreme expert. Now that the other party did not hold back at all and went for the kill as soon as they attacked, he no longer had any concerns. If it was before I became a higher ultimate god, even with the help of the divine tree of life and the 5 divine elements, I'm afraid I would only be able to fight them to a draw. Now, although the divine tree of life and the 5 divine elements can't help me for the time being, with my cultivation base as a higher ultimate god and the 7 orifices exquisite sword that is transformed into a supreme divine weapon, I'm not any weaker than when I was a medium ultimate god with the help of the divine tree of life and the 5 divine elements. After leaving the small world in the Crimson Demon's body, the divine tree of life and the 5 divine elements had consumed a lot of energy. Only the world-cleansing divine water was in better condition. If it was not necessary, Duan Lingtian did not intend to borrow their strength. Whoosh! The 7 orifices exquisite sword flew out from Duan Lingtian's hand. Its aura was much sharper than before. Before arriving at Dancing Sun City, Duan Lingtian had traded with the people from the outer realm in the ruined cities, mainly for the 7 orifices exquisite sword's transformation. With his current strength, the 7 orifices exquisite sword's grade could not keep up. Therefore, he had traded for many good items to forcefully upgrade the 7 orifices exquisite sword. The consequence of doing so was that the sword soul of the 7 orifices exquisite sword, Huang could not leave the divine weapon like other supreme divine weapons. Huang needed to cultivate in seclusion within the sword for a period of time. She could only leave the 7 orifices exquisite sword after reaching a certain level of cultivation. However, this did not affect the 7 orifices exquisite sword's power. The 7 orifices exquisite sword was now a supreme divine sword through and through. Supreme divine weapon? The 5 people from the Blood Sea were shocked when Duan Lingtian took out his supreme divine sword. However, on second thought, they felt that it was reasonable. After all, Duan Lingtian did not panic when the 5 of them took out 2 supreme divine weapons. However, in the next moment, when they saw Duan Lingtian use the law of space to illuminate thousands of miles, they sneered. How dare you meddle in our business with such strength? At this moment, in their eyes, the purple-robed young man in front of them was already a dead man. Even the old woman behind Duan Lingtian was filled with despair. She had thought that the person in front of her would be strong since he dared to meddle in their business. She did not expect him to be so weak. With such strength, he was definitely not a match for the 5 from the Blood Sea. The expression of the young woman beside the old woman changed when she saw this. Then, she hurriedly shouted in alarm, "Run away quickly! You are not their match." Although she wanted to live, she knew that Duan Lingtian was not going to survive. If Duan Lingtian did not run away, he might become her scapegoat. This was not what she wanted to see. She did not want to implicate the innocent. It's over. The old woman's eyes and face were filled with despair. She was completely disheartened. How dare you stick your neck out with such strength? You are digging your own grave. One of the middle-aged men from the Blood Sea could not help but mock. The 5 of them charged toward Duan Lingtian. 5 against 1. They didn't even use their bloodline power or law avatars. Seeing the 5 of them charging forward as if victory was in their hands and did not even use their bloodline power or law avatars, Duan Lingtian knew that the 5 of them did not feel the need to use their bloodline power or law avatars to deal with him. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 law avatars flew out of Duan Lingtian's body. They were his space law avatars and time law avatars. Even with 2 laws of nature avatars and your true body, your outcome won't change. The old man who claimed to be the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea said indifferently. Then, he slashed out with his saber. Flames burned the sky and swept toward Duan Lingtian's time law avatars. In his opinion, his saber could easily destroy the opponent's law avatars. Chapter 44:10. In the eyes of the young woman and the old woman, although the purple-clad young man was strong, he would definitely be defeated or even killed by the 5 powerhouses from the Blood Sea organization. The young woman, in particular, regretted not stopping the old woman from asking the young man for help. Based on the current situation, not only would she and the people around her not be able to escape, but the young man would also be implicated by them. I did try to persuade him to leave, but why did he stay and fight them head-on? The young woman could not understand why the young man in front of her was so stubborn. In her opinion, the young man was facing a crisis. Unless he could summon a supreme expert to help him in a short time, he would definitely die. After all, the young man had not even comprehended the law of profundity to the small perfection stage. Among the 5 people, 2 of them had already comprehended the law of profundity to the small perfection stage. Are you looking down on me? Duan Lingtian could not help but sigh inwardly when he saw that the 5 people from the Blood Sea organization did not intend to use their bloodline power or their law clones, even though they were about to fight him. Did he, Duan Lingtian, look so easy to bully? Since you look down on me, then let's end this quickly. If there's an afterlife, I hope you'll remember not to underestimate anyone. Even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit. After sighing inwardly, Duan Lingtian's 2 law clones attacked and displayed their sharp sword principles. His original body took the lead and used the law of space, which was close to the small perfection stage, to merge with his sword principles and directly faced the 3 weaker middle-aged men. The 2 powerful old men were now targeting Duan Lingtian's law clones. Whoosh! A sword light seemed to illuminate an area of 10,000 miles. The 7-colored sword light was dazzling and seemed to make everything around it pale in comparison. The more beautiful something was, the more dangerous it was. The 7-colored sword light perfectly illustrated this point. No, how is this possible? The 3 middle-aged men who were not weak were elites in the Blood Sea. They were the cream of the crop among the higher ultimate gods. However, when Duan Lingtian swung his sword at them, they could not defend themselves at all. In other words, their resistance was futile. Under the sword light of Duan Lingtian's true body, the attacks of the three were completely shattered. They did not even have time to mobilize their bloodline power or law clones before they were drowned by the sword light. The three powerful auras were instantly annihilated. The two old men who were currently fighting Duan Lingtian's law doppelganger were also shocked after the initial confrontation. This was because they discovered that although it was only a law clone, the sword Dao that it displayed shocked them. Even if it was a one-on-one battle, it would be difficult for them to take down the law clone. The stalemate lasted for a moment, but it was only a slight advantage. However, just as they gained the upper hand, they were even more shocked to find that the other three people on their side were killed in the blink of an eye. In one move, he had killed 3 people. What kind of terrifying strength was this? Even if the two of them joined forces, they wouldn't have such terrifying strength. The two of them looked at each other in the eye and reached a tacit agreement. They quickly retreated and fled. Run? At this time, they realized that the purple-clad young man in front of them was an iron plate that they could not kick. His strength was so terrifying that he might not be weaker than the leader of their Blood Sea organization. A peak upper ultimate god. This was definitely a peak upper ultimate god. If an invincible upper ultimate god who had comprehended the laws to the great perfection realm did not appear, no one below the supreme realm could take him down. Trying to escape? Duan Lingtian smiled faintly in the face of the two old men who had decided to escape and executed it in an instant. He did not seem surprised at all. Then, his true body teleported and stopped one of them. Meanwhile, the two nomological law clones, the nomological law of space and the nomological law of time, blocked the other person's path. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, the two old men who had not exerted their full strength were surrounded by blood chi. It was obvious that they had activated their bloodline power and did not dare to be as careless as before. However, even though they had activated their bloodline power, they did not have any intention to fight. Your Excellency, we admit defeat this time. The old man who was stopped by Duan Lingtian's true body said gloomily, just now, I've already sent a message to our leader. If you kill us, you'll become an enemy of the Blood Sea organization. Our leader won't let you go. He then added, our chief is close to being an invincible higher supreme god. An invincible upper ultimate god. In the past, Duan Lingtian did not have any concept of this. However, after coming to the outer realm, he had heard of an invincible upper ultimate god more than once. He knew that they stood at the top of the upper ultimate gods and were almost invincible unless an supreme realm expert appeared. An invincible upper ultimate god was either an expert who had comprehended the laws to the great perfection realm or someone who had comprehended the laws to the great perfection realm and had mastered other amazing techniques. An invincible upper ultimate god? Duan Lingtian did not mind the old man's words at all. With his current strength, only an invincible higher ultimate god would be able to threaten his life apart from a supreme powerhouse. As for an invincible upper ultimate god, perhaps there were many who were stronger than him. However, even if they were stronger than him, he was confident that he would be able to escape unscathed without being entangled with them. Even if it was an invincible upper ultimate god, as long as his opponent was not an invincible upper ultimate god who had comprehended the laws of space or time to the great perfection realm, it would not be easy to kill him with his mastery of the laws of time and time. Moreover, the leader of the Blood Sea organization was only an invincible upper ultimate god. If he comes, I don't mind sparring with him. As Duan Lingtian spoke, he did not stop attacking the old man even though he was injured. Although the old man was only one person, his strength was much stronger than the previous 3 people. Moreover, the previous 3 people did not use their bloodline power or law clones at all. However, the old man in front of him had activated his bloodline power, and his strength had increased even more. Therefore, Duan Lingtian only managed to kill the old man after nearly 10 moves, even though he did not have enough fighting spirit to do so. At the same time, the other old man from the Blood Sea organization, who had previously said that he was the left guardian of Dharma, was entangled by Duan Lingtian's 2 law clones. He wanted to escape but could not. He wanted to defeat Duan Lingtian's law clones, but was unable to do so. If it was only a law clone, he was confident that he could defeat it given enough time. However, the two law clones joined forces with the extremely powerful sword principal and were evenly matched with him. It's over. When the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea organization saw the other old man being killed by Duan Lingtian, despair appeared in his eyes. The old man's strength was on par with his. He was the right guardian of the Blood Sea organization. Even if I die, I won't let you off easily. In the next moment, the old man who had suppressed the despair in his eyes suddenly shot out a vicious light. At the same time, an extremely terrifying force began to rise from his body like a primordial beast that had been dormant for a long time, suddenly erupted. Chapter 44:11. In fact, it was no longer easy for an ultimate god to self-destruct the small world in one's body. Although it was still possible to do so, the price to pay was correspondingly higher. At the ultimate god realm, one's spirit and body had already become one. Once the small world in one's body self-destructed, it was equivalent to self-mutilation. Not only would one's body have to endure the pain of being torn apart, but one's soul would also have to endure the pain of having one's soul refined. Once the small world self-destructed, one would die in endless pain and gradually lose consciousness. One could even see one's body falling apart. It was a very cruel way to die. It was also because of this that very few ultimate gods and above would have the courage to make such a choice when they were about to lose their lives in a battle with another. Idiot. Just as the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea chose to self-destruct the small world in an attempt to seriously injure Duan Lingtian and even kill him together with Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian's voice suddenly sounded again. His tone was sarcastic and mocking. Have you forgotten that I'm an expert in the law of space and the law of time? Duan Lingtian's mocking smile was not an act. It was a subconscious sneer after he recovered from the shock. He thought his opponent had really lost his mind. The self-destruction of the small world in one's body required the use of one's own divine energy and the power of law. The speed of the process depended on the strength of the power of law and divine energy. His opponent's power of law was indeed superior to his understanding of the law of space and the law of time. However, it was only one of the 5 elemental laws. The law of space and the law of time were supreme laws that were superior to the 5 elemental laws. The other 2 laws were also extremely strange as they controlled space and time. Although Duan Lingtian's original body could not use both the law of time and the law of space at the same time, his 2 avatars could cooperate with each other. Since his original body was the leader, they could cooperate very well. Duan Lingtian's time and space laws had been comprehended with the help of a supreme master's godhead. It was also because of this that his comprehension of time and space laws was close to perfection. With the 2 of them working together, even if the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea had comprehended the law of 5 elements to the small perfection realm, it would be extremely difficult for him to hurt Duan Lingtian by detonating the small world in his body. Enjoy your choice. After saying that, Duan Lingtian did not dare stay any longer. If he did, even if his 2 nomological clones could still save his original body, they would definitely be destroyed. Once his law doppelganger was destroyed, even with his current strength, it would take him a long time to reform it again. After all, the stronger he was, the stronger his law doppelganger would be. It did not mean that the speed at which he condensed his law doppelganger would increase. Everything depended on his attainments in the path of laws. Whoosh! With a teleport, Duan Lingtian left his original spot and arrived in front of the old woman and the young woman. He raised his hand and a force enveloped the 2 of them. If you don't want to be dragged down by him, don't resist my power. Duan Lingtian's indifferent voice reverberated in the ears of the old woman and the young woman. In an instant, the 2 of them retracted the divine power that they had been accumulating. Originally, their faces had already darkened because they had not expected the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea to be so resolute as to self-detonate the small world in his body. It should be known that not everyone had the courage to do such a thing. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian had brought the old woman and the young woman out of the range of the left guardian of Dharma's self-detonation. During this process, The power of the small world in his body had attempted to seal off a large area of the surrounding space. However, Duan Lingtian had forcibly opened a gap and teleported away. During this process, Duan Lingtian's time law doppelganger and space law doppelganger worked together to control the time in the surrounding space and to prevent the space from collapsing. In the end, before the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea could self-detonate, Duan Lingtian's two law doppelgangers helped each other and successfully left the range of the other party's self-detonation. Bang! A loud sound reverberated in all directions. The aftermath of the terrifying power spread in all directions. There was not a single place within 1,000 miles that was left unscathed. At the same time, a mournful and unwilling cry resounded in all directions, causing one's hair to stand on end upon hearing it. This was the cry of the left guardian of Dharma of the Blood Sea before he died. In the moment before his death, he had experienced the ultimate torture that felt like a century had passed. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. He was filled with regret. If he had known that he could not kill the purple-clad young man or even hurt him, he would have died a normal death instead of self-detonating. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. The normal death of a high-level ultimate god would not cause too much of a commotion. It was unlike the death of an ultimate god that would cause many strange phenomena. However, if a high-level ultimate god had self-detonated and died, although there would not be any strange phenomena, it would still cause quite a commotion. At least, people within 1,000 miles would be able to hear the commotion. Oh my God! What a huge commotion! Is this the self-detonation of an ultimate god? It feels like the commotion came from a very far place. If an ultimate god had self-detonated, it would be at least a high-level ultimate god, right? I really admire this person's courage. He still has the courage to self-detonate when he has reached the ultimate god realm. I just don't know if he self-detonated and took his opponent down with him. He must have taken his opponent down with him, right? If his opponent did not take him down with them, wouldn't his self-detonation be in vain? The people within 1,000 miles began to pay attention to the commotion coming from afar. Some people who liked to join in the fun even started to search for the source of the commotion. At the same time, a middle-aged man who had just entered 1,000 miles radius suddenly stopped in his tracks with an extremely unpleasant expression on his face. He was a middle-aged man who was about 2 meters tall in a gray robe. Although his robe was loose, it could not hide his bulky body. His eyes were fierce and bloodthirsty, and at this moment, they were shooting out a murderous glare. Behind him were 2 other old men. At this moment, the 2 old men's expressions changed. Leader, this aura, it's the left guardian of Dharma? It's him. The middle-aged man in gray robe's expression darkened. Then, his body swayed and swept toward the source of the commotion like a ghost. His speed was incomparable to before. In fact, the reason why he was so fast was to take care of the 2 people behind him. When the 2 old men saw their leader moving, they quickly followed him. Even if they could not catch up, they still tried their best to follow behind him. Soon, the middle-aged man in gray robe, who was also the leader of the Blood Sea, arrived at the scene of the incident. An area of 1,000 miles around the site of the incident had been razed to the ground. In the center of the area, there was a bottomless pit. It looked extremely frightening. The self-detonation of a top upper-level ultimate god was no joke. Even those who had previously speculated were shocked when they arrived at the scene and saw the scene. Among the upper-level ultimate gods, a self-detonation that can cause such a big commotion, it must be at least an expert who has comprehended the power of law and has reached the perfection realm, right? The strange phenomenon of the power of law spread out just now. It's obvious that there are top upper-level ultimate gods fighting fiercely. Is it here? Looking at the remnant aura at the scene, there is more than one person who died. It seems that his opponent was also killed by his self-detonation. Since he chose to self-detonate, he must be confident. The middle-aged man in gray robe and the 2 old men who followed him heard the whispers and discussions around them. The 2 old men frowned slightly while the one in the middle looked even worse. The leader of the Blood Sea, who was known as an invincible upper-level ultimate god who was close to the perfection realm of the power of law, muttered, "The other 4 people who died are the right guardian, Guluo, and the other two. He was very clear about the aura of his subordinates. There was no aura of the sixth person who died at the scene. The 5 people who died were all his subordinates. They were the elite experts of the Blood Sea organization. Who is it? After the middle-aged man's face calmed down a little, he showed a strong sense of fear. Even he could only barely escape from the self-detonation of the left guardian of Dharma from the Blood Sea. Since the other party could also escape, it meant that the other party's strength was not inferior to his. How could he not be afraid of such an existence? Although there was nothing the Blood Sea did not dare to do, there was no one they did not dare to rob, even if it was the descendant of a supreme expert. However, in the face of a true expert, they would not be so arrogant as to court death. Even now, he hated the person who killed 5 of his capable subordinates, but he did not have much desire for revenge. He was more afraid of that person. No matter how strong his subordinates were, if they died, they died. He could not rashly offend an expert whose strength was not inferior to his for the sake of his subordinates. First of all, even if he met the other party, he would at most be evenly matched with the other party. It was almost impossible for him to kill the other party. Secondly, if he and the other party could not kill each other, he might be injured, or even seriously injured. This was not a good thing for him. It would be fine if he only suffered light injuries that were easy to recover from, but if he suffered serious injuries that were difficult to recover from, how could he successfully survive the next millennium tribulation? Sir Leader? The 2 old men standing behind heard the middle-aged man muttering to himself. After looking at each other, they saw the shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. You mean, the self-detonation of the left guardian of Dharma did not kill the other party? At this moment, both of them were shocked.
Yes.
At this time, the face of the leader of the Blood Sea organization had recovered a lot. Then, he moved and walked in the direction he came from. Obviously, he planned to return to the temporary base of the Blood Sea organization. He didn't plan to kill his 5 capable subordinates. It seems, even Sir Leader is afraid of the other party. The 2 old men quickly followed their leader and could not help but communicate with each other through voice transmission. Isn't it obvious? If he was not afraid of the other party, Sir Leader would have pursued the other party. Sir Leader is not one to be taken advantage of. Chapter 44:12. Duan Lingtian naturally did not know that the leader of the Blood Sea had arrived not long after. He also did not know that the leader was afraid of his strength and retreated. Of course, even if he did not know, he could roughly guess the result. Since he could kill the 5 experts of the Blood Sea, it was enough to prove his strength. The leader of the Blood Sea was neither an ultimate expert nor an invincible upper-level ultimate god. It was impossible for him to kill him to avenge his subordinates. Moreover, in Duan Lingtian's opinion, the leader of the Blood Sea might not really want to avenge his subordinates. Perhaps, to him, the people under him were just tools. Whoosh! Inside the divine artifact flying ship, Duan Lingtian stood there. Not far in front of him, the young woman and the old woman were thanking Duan Lingtian. Big brother, thank you for saving our lives. I, Yi Qiangwei, will remember what happened today. If you need my help in the future, you can look for me at the Ye family in Yiling City. At this moment, Yi Qiangwei looked at the purple-clad young man in front of her. Her eyes were filled with shock. This was because the elders beside her had told her that the young man in front of her was not old. Although she could not tell his exact age with her strength, she was certain that he was not more than 10,000 years old. Not more than 10,000 years old then, he was at most 9,000 years old. She, Yi Qiangwei, was only 3,000 years old. In the outer realm, experts were easily tens of thousands of years old, or even hundreds of thousands of years old. Especially among the upper-level ultimate gods, it was normal for them to be close to 100,000 years old. If one became an invincible upper-level ultimate god, as long as there were no accidents, it would not be difficult for him to live for more than 100,000 years even if he did not step into the ultimate expert realm. In the outer realm, those who were less than 10,000 years old were considered young. Many places even considered those who were younger than 20,000 years old, or even 30,000 years old as young. It's nothing. I just don't like them. You don't have to thank me. Duan Lingtian glanced at Yi Qiangwei and said indifferently, Since you're going to Blue Dawn City, I'll give you a ride. When we reach Lan Xiaoqing, we will part ways, and we may never meet again." This time, he'd gone to Blue Dawn City for the sake of helping Wang Yiyuan, whom he'd met in the small world within the Crimson Devil's body, fulfill his final wish. He had no other wishes, and this was also the first goal he'd set for himself. Then, he would stay in Lanshao City for a while to learn more about the situation in the Outer Realm. Then, he would leave Lanshao City and go out to explore. Since he had come to the Outer Realm, he did not plan to stay in the city and cultivate. What he needed was not only cultivation, but also a baptism of blood and fire. His wife, Kerr, could not wait for him for too long. In the past, he had been advancing triumphantly, but that didn't mean that he would be able to do so in the future. In the future, he still had to fight for himself. Even becoming an invincible higher ultimate god was not his ultimate goal. His ultimate goal was to become an ultimate god, the strongest among ultimate gods. He wanted to find the Spectre clan member who had merged with Yun Qingyan and force him to release his wife from the soul shackles. As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian did not wait for Yi Qiangwei to speak. He took a few steps back and sat cross-legged on the side of the spaceship. Even when Yi Qiangwei asked for his name, he did not say a word. Yi Qiangwei looked disappointed when she saw this. This was the first time in her life that she had been frustrated by someone of the same generation. She had seen many geniuses before. Even those young geniuses who were younger than 10,000 years old and had the strength of a high-level ultimate god had tried to curry favor with her. In fact, there was more than one of them. "Granny, who do you think he is?" Yi Qiangwei and the old woman walked to the other side of the spaceship. Yi Qiangwei looked at the old woman with a complicated expression. "I've never heard of a young genius who's not even 10,000 years old who has the strength of an invincible higher ultimate god. I don't think he's from the heavenly sand realm." The old woman glanced at the young man who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed and said softly, "I've never heard of such a talented young man in the heavenly sand realm. He must be from outside the heavenly sand realm." What a joke. How could someone who was not even 10,000 years old not have a powerful background? There were legends of people who rose from the bottom up in the outer realm, but it was impossible for someone to achieve this. He's not from the heavenly sand realm? Yi Qiangwei's eyes glinted as she muttered, "I'm really curious. Which realm is he from? I've never heard of such a genius even in the outer realm. He must be a descendant of a reclusive force that rarely shows himself. Who knows, he might be a descendant of many ultimate gods." Yi Qiangwei's curiosity about Duan Lingtian was apparent. "However, this is my first time meeting such a blockhead. I've already introduced myself, but he didn't tell me his name. When I asked him about it, he ignored me. Could it be that his name is so shameful?" Yi Qiangwei lowered her voice as she spoke. She was obviously worried that Duan Lingtian would hear her. "Young mistress." The old woman was helpless. "Earlier, that young master also said that we'll part ways when I arrive at Lanshao City. We'll be strangers from now on. You'd better not provoke him. With the speed of the flying ship, we'll arrive at Lanshao City in no time." She could tell that her young mistress was curious about the young man in purple. As someone who had been through this, she knew that this was a dangerous thing. When a woman was curious about a man, it was often the beginning of her fall, and she wanted to nip all of this in the bud. "Don't forget that we're here at Lanshao City for official business," the old woman reminded her. Yi Qiangwei nodded when she heard this, and at the same time, she glanced at the nearby Duan Lingtian with slight unwillingness, and she didn't lower her voice any longer and seemed to raise it intentionally. "No matter what, I, Yi Qiangwei, won't easily forget the favor of saving my life. One day, I'll repay the favor of saving my life." Currently, Duan Lingtian didn't seal off his consciousness and hearing, so he clearly heard Yi Qiangwei's words. But even then, he still remained indifferent. He pretended that he did not hear what she said. It did not take long for the flying ship to arrive at Lanshao City. Lanshao City was a vast and magnificent city, and it wasn't the slightest bit inferior to the Dancing Sun City that Duan Lingtian had visited before. The Wang clan that Wang Yiyuan is from? I wonder what kind of clan they are in Lanshao City. When he was in Dancing Sun City, Duan Lingtian knew that most of the clans in the Outer Realm controlled the cities. The clans in the cities were also divided into different levels. For example, in Dancing Sun City, the 5 major clans that were overseen by experts were the first-class clans in Dancing Sun City. The second-class clans did not have an expert overseeing them but had a deep foundation. There were many godly, venerable experts in the clans, especially clans that were close to being an invincible upper ultimate god. I'll keep the flying ship. I'll take my leave now. Duan Lingtian bade farewell to Yi Xiangwei. He did not wait for her to react before he kept the flying ship and flew into Lanshao City. In the blink of an eye, his figure completely disappeared from Yi Xiangwei's sight. At that moment, Yi Xiangwei found it difficult to accept Duan Lingtian's attitude. She was furious. Do I, Yi Xiangwei, make him hate me so much? Why is he in such a hurry to leave me? Since you're in Lanshao City, it's not difficult for me to find you. We'll meet again. Duan Lingtian naturally did not know that he had unintentionally provoked a petty woman. After entering Lanshao City, he began to inquire about the Wang clan that Wang Yiyuan was from. The Wang clan used to be one of the strongest clans in Lanshao City. They had an expert overseeing them. However, 100,000 years ago, the Wang clan's expert fell and their status in Lanshao City plummeted. They went from a first-class clan to a second-class clan. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Although the Wang clan has fallen, they're still deeply rooted in Lanshao City. They're one of the strongest clans, even among the second-class clans in Lanshao City. Currently, the Wang clan has 3 experts who are close to being an invincible upper ultimate god. They're the 3 founding elders of the Wang clan and also the old antiques of the Wang clan. In just half a day, Duan Lingtian had found out a lot about the Wang clan in Lanshao City at the cost of some immortal crystals. He also found out about Wang Yiyuan. Only then did he know that Wang Yiyuan was actually the strongest person among the younger generation in the Wang clan. Come to think of it, if it was not for his outstanding talent and comprehension, why would the Crimson Demon take a fancy to Wang Yiyuan and imprison him in his little world as one of the candidates for possession? Speaking of which, the prodigy of the Wang clan could be considered to have died at an untimely age. I heard some time ago that he was training outside and died. Wang Yiyuan was the strongest prodigy among the younger generation in the Wang clan, and his sister was the most beautiful woman in Lanshao City. The reason why the latter was able to have a smooth life in the Wang clan was mainly because of Wang Yiyuan, the prodigy that the Wang clan focused on nurturing. Now that Wang Yiyuan has died, Wang Luoyu has lost her protection. In addition to her beauty, I'm afraid she'll become a marriage tool for the Wang clan. That's right. Wang Yiyuan and Wang Luoyu are actually only collateral relatives in the Wang family. It was only because Wang Yiyuan was outstanding enough that he was accepted by one of the main branches of the Wang family. Now that Wang Yiyuan has died, Wang Luoyu's status as a direct descendant will not be lost. Otherwise, it'll seem like the Wang clan is burning the bridge after crossing the river. However, the Wang clan will definitely use Wang Luoyu's status as a direct descendant to push her out to represent the Wang clan in a marriage alliance to maximize her benefits. When Wang Yiyuan was still around, some of the higher-ups in the Wang clan already had such thoughts. However, because of Wang Yiyuan's ruckus, the matter was left unsettled. In the end, no one mentioned pushing Wang Luoyu out for a marriage alliance. After hearing all sorts of news about the Wang siblings, Duan Lingtian finally understood why Wang Yiyuan had such a dying wish. It was obvious that Wang Yiyuan knew that it would be fine if he was still alive. However, if he died, his sister would definitely be used by the Wang clan as a marriage tool. I've more or less understood the situation. Now, what I have to do is to get in touch with Wang Luoyu and tell her about Wang Yiyuan's request. After that, it'll be up to her to decide. As long as she's willing, I'll do my best to find a free and pure land for her without the pressure of a marriage alliance. After walking out of the restaurant, Duan Lingtian headed in the direction of the Wang clan. Chapter 44:13. In Lanshao City, there was a clear distinction between the clans. The first-rate clans were all stationed in the best places in Lanshao City. To the east of Lanshao City was where the 4 first-rate clans of Lanshao City were stationed. Each of the 4 first-rate clans of Lanshao City had an ultimate powerhouse. Therefore, they were the 4 most powerful clans in Lanshao City. Their status in Lanshao City was comparable to the 5 clans with ultimate powerhouses that Duan Lingtian had visited in Dancing Sun City. The 5 great clans had 5 supreme experts overseeing them. They were in the limelight and were extremely powerful. However, after the Battle of Dancing Sun City, the 5 clans of Dancing Sun City were completely crippled. Although not all of the ultimate powerhouses of the 5 clans had died, those who were still alive had escaped from Dancing Sun City. However, they could not bring their clan's foundations with them. In the end, they were destined to be destroyed by the demons of Mount Qiming, led by the Qiming demon Venerable. After all, there was an unforgettable feud between them. It would not be so easy to resolve it. Even ultimate powerhouses are not invincible. It's not impossible for them to be killed by others. The Battle of Dancing Sun City made Duan Lingtian witness a shocking scene. Ultimate powerhouses had fallen, and there was a phenomenon in the sky. A rain of blood poured down, and the momentum was vast. It was as if the heavens were crying tears of blood for the ultimate powerhouse's death. Although the Wang clan is only a second-rate clan in Lanshao City, because of its glorious past, it was once a first-rate clan in Lanshao City. Its ultimate powerhouse ancestor had built many connections outside. Even if it did not move its base, the 4 first-rate clans of Lanshao City did not target it and force it to move. After all, if the Wang clan was forced, it might anger the ultimate powerhouses in the outside world who had connections with the ultimate powerhouse ancestor of the Wang clan. The ultimate powerhouse ancestor of the Wang clan did not die by accident. He was taken away by the 10,000-year tribulation. His friend is also a supreme expert. Those who are still alive are undoubtedly existences that are even more powerful than him. Perhaps none of the ultimate masters of the 4 first-class families in Lanshao City would dare to say that they are stronger than the ultimate masters who had close ties with the Wang family's ancestor in the outside world. Moreover, the Wang family only has a base in the best place in Lanshao City. The most profitable businesses in Lanshao City are all in the hands of the 4 first-rate families. The Wang family can't get involved at all, and they don't dare to. The strong are respected, and the strong are respected. This has always been the case in the outer realm. Although he had not been in Lanshao City for long, Duan Lingtian had inquired about the Wang family's situation clearly. The Wang clan, as a first-rate clan in the former Blue Dawn City, had an incomparably glorious past. When the ancestor of the supreme powerhouses was still alive, it was only others who sought marriage alliances. They never had to take the initiative to find marriage alliances. However, in today's Wang clan, after not having a descendant with the talent to become an ultimate powerhouse for a long time, they once again began to form marriage alliances in order to survive. This was because they knew that as time passed, the ultimate masters that the Wang clan had connections with in the outside world would grow old one by one and be taken away by the 10,000-year heavenly tribulation. At that time, without the protection of external aid, it would be even more difficult for the Wang clan to maintain the status it currently had today. Therefore, they needed to use marriage alliances to seek other protection. In the past, Wang Luoyu, who was recognized as the #1 beauty in Lanshao City, was favored by many direct descendants of the ultimate masters in the outside world. Many of them were direct descendants of the ultimate masters. So many people in the Wang clan had their eyes on Wang Luoyu. However, Wang Luoyu's elder brother, Wang Yiyuan, had already displayed the potential to become an ultimate master. Therefore, after weighing the two sides, more people chose to support Wang Yiyuan. Wang Yiyuan was unwilling to let his sister marry, so they all supported him. Therefore, with Wang Yiyuan around, Wang Luoyu's situation was actually quite good. Even if Wang Yiyuan went missing and could not be contacted, no one made things difficult for Wang Luoyu. Until some time ago, when Wang Yiyuan's spirit pearl shattered and the Wang clan confirmed Wang Yiyuan's death, the matter of Wang Luoyu's marriage alliance was once again brought up by many people. In fact, recently, there were already many powerful families from the outside world that had sent people to propose marriage. Duan Lingtian flew over Lanshao City. Not long after, he arrived outside the inner city where the Wang clan and the 4 first-class clans of Lanshao City were located. Normally, the inner city would not allow unauthorized people to enter. When Duan Lingtian arrived near the inner city where the Wang clan was located, A patrolling member of the Wong clan came forward to stop him. The Wong clan is located in front of you. Please wait. The Wong clan members were an old man and two middle-aged men. They were the Wong clan's elder and two young men who were in charge of patrolling the inner city. I'm here to visit the Wong clan. Duan Lingtian stood in the void and looked at the three people in front of him calmly. At the same time, his aura appeared and shrouded the three of them. A strong pressure from his space law and sword principle pressed down on the three of them. The expressions of the two middle-aged men among the three instantly changed, and their faces flushed red. Even the old man's expression changed drastically. If it was not for Duan Lingtian, who immediately withdrew his aura, the Wong clan's elder would have most likely sought help from the Wong clan. Even then, his expression was still grave. Sir, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to show off to the Wong clan? Don't misunderstand. A rare smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's calm face. Senior, you have the strength of a high-level ultimate god, and you're obviously not an ordinary high-level ultimate god. You must be an elder of the Wong clan, right? My name is Li Feng. I'm an itinerant cultivator from the outside world. When I was passing by Lanshao City, I heard that many young talents from big clans came to propose marriage to the Wong clan. In addition, I heard many people say that Miss Wang Luoyu is the most beautiful woman in the Wong clan. This junior has been wandering the outside world for many years, with no friends or family, with no one to rely on, and I'm already a little tired. If I can meet Miss Wang Luoyu and obtain her favor, this junior is willing to stay in the Wong clan and become a guest elder of the Wong clan. This was the excuse Duan Lingtian had thought of long ago. It was also one of his plans. His plan was to enter the Wong clan as a genius itinerant cultivator, get close to Wang Luoyu, and then find an opportunity to bring Wang Luoyu to the Wong clan. He could not use Wang Yiyuan's dying wish to ask the Wong clan to give up on the idea of a marriage alliance with Wang Luoyu. After all, the Wong clan would not give face to a dead person like Wang Yiyuan. The Wong clan valued benefits more than anything else. That was why he planned to sneak into the Wong clan. A young genius who was not even 10,000 years old, but had the strength of an unrivaled high-level ultimate god, was willing to marry into the Wong clan. To the Wong clan, this was a blessing from their ancestral graves. Why would they refuse? How could the benefits of sending Wang Luoyu out for a marriage alliance compare to this? As for whether I'm qualified, I'm willing to spar with the strongest person in the Wong clan, so that the Wong clan can see my strength and my sincerity. Duan Lingtian stared straight at the Wong clan elder and said each word in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Duan Lingtian's words caused the Wong clan elder's expression to change. He could see that the young man in front of him was very strong and far stronger than him. He was also very young and definitely not more than 10,000 years old, however. When he heard that he wanted to spar with the strongest person in the Wong clan, he could not help but be shocked. Although the Wong clan no longer had an ultimate god or an invincible higher-level ultimate god, they still had two ultimate gods who were said to be close to invincible higher-level ultimate gods. These two ultimate gods were also the current pillars of the Wong clan. Their status in the Wong clan was so high that no one in this generation could compare to them. As long as they could reach an agreement, they could change the current Wong clan leader with just one word. Your matter is no longer within the scope of my concern. The old man took a deep breath and sent a message at the same time. Soon, another sagely old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion flew over. Grand Elder. When they saw the newcomer, the elder in charge of patrolling earlier and the other two Wong clan disciples bowed respectfully to him. The newcomer was the current Grand Elder of the Wong clan and also the leader of the Wong clan Elder Council. In the Wong clan, apart from the two supreme elders and the clan leader, his position was the highest. Sir, you wish to spar with the supreme elder of the Wong clan? After the Wong clan's Grand Elder arrived, the gaze he looked at Duan Lingtian with was extremely unkind, because he felt that the violet-clothed youth before him was too arrogant, actually daring to say that he wanted to spar with their Wong clan's supreme elder. Duan Lingtian nodded indifferently in response to the Grand Elder's question. At the same time, he felt a sudden burst of energy from the Grand Elder as soon as he finished speaking. The energy vibrations were extremely terrifying, but to Duan Lingtian, it was like a gentle breeze. The current Duan Lingtian was so strong that even if he was slightly weaker than those existences who were closest to the invincible upper-level ultimate gods, it would not be easy for those existences to defeat him. In front of those existences, he could definitely escape unscathed. The Wang clan had two existences who were close to the invincible upper-level ultimate gods. If they were to fight, he had no confidence of winning. He might even be at a disadvantage after a few moves, or even be defeated. After all, it was a spar, not a battle to the death. There was no option of escaping. Even so, he believed that the Wang clan would be able to see his potential. When that time came, the Wang clan would be very satisfied with this live-in son-in-law. Perhaps they could not wait for him to immediately marry Wang Luoyu and become the Wang clan's son-in-law. Whoosh! At this moment, the aura on Duan Lingtian's body shot out as well. In just a blink of an eye, it destroyed the Grand Elder's aura mercilessly. In order to further prove his strength, Duan Lingtian did not hold back at all this time. He directly caused the Grand Elder of the Wang clan to take 3 steps back. At the same time, blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. This scene caused the other 3 members of the Wang clan to be shocked. It was just a collision of energy. The Grand Elder of the Wang clan was defeated in an instant. Chapter 44:14. Although the Grand Elder of the Wang clan was not close to being an invincible high-level supreme god, he was still an absolute powerhouse among high-level supreme gods. In terms of strength, he could be ranked in the top 10 of the Wang clan. Now, it was just a collision of auras. In the blink of an eye, someone as strong as the Grand Elder of the Wang clan was defeated. So strong. Seeing their first elder suffer a setback, the patrolling elder and the Wang clan members beside him all revealed shocked expressions. Although they already knew that the other party was powerful, due to the large gap between them and the other party, they did not have a deep understanding of the other party's strength. Now, however, they were completely frightened. It turned out that the other party was so strong. Perhaps the other party was not boasting. Perhaps he could really compete with the strongest existence of the Wang clan. Grand Elder, I wonder if I, Li Feng, am now qualified to meet the strongest existence of the Wang clan and spar with him? Duan Lingtian looked at the Grand Elder of the Wang clan and asked with a smile. Although it was just a collision of auras, he did not hold back because he knew that he had to be decisive and let the other party acknowledge his strength. Only then would his future path be smooth. As expected, faced with Duan Lingtian's question, the Grand Elder of the Wang clan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Duan Lingtian with a different gaze. There is definitely no young talent like you in the Sky Sand Realm. I wonder where you are from? The Sky Sand Realm. It was one of the regions in the Outer Land where Duan Lingtian was now. He had already known this when he was in Dancing Sun City. This included the sea region where he first came from, the Crimson Devil Ridge, the ruined cities that he went to, the Dancing Sun City, and the Lanshao City that he was currently in. They all belonged to the Heavenly Sand Realm. There were a total of 36 realms in the Outer Land, and the Sky Sand Realm was only one of them. And it was only the Sky Sand Realm, but it was said that the number of supreme experts in the open and in the dark was no less than 100. When Duan Lingtian first found out, he was also shocked. He did not expect that one of the 36 realms in the Outer Realm would have so many supreme powerhouses. However, along the way to Blue Dawn City, some of the supreme experts and forces that he passed by made him realize that it was not strange that there were more than 100 supreme experts in the Sky Sand Realm, both in the open and in the dark. The city of the Dancing Sun, for example, had 5 powerhouses guarding it. Now, in Lanshao City, there were also 4 supreme masters in charge. In these 2 cities, there were a total of 9 supreme experts on the surface. In the Sky Sand territory, there were more than 10 cities like the Blue Dawn City and the Dancing Sun City. Of course, in some cities, there were only 2 or 1 ultimate powerhouse. Even so, the total number of supreme powerhouses in the dozen or so cities amounted to about 50 people. I am not from the Sky Sand Realm. Faced with the Wang family Grand Elder's question, Duan Lingtian said calmly, I came from outside the Sky Sand Realm and wandered here. I heard of the number 1 beauty in the Blue Dawn City, Wang Luoyu, and fell in love with her at first sight. That's why I had the idea of marrying into the Wang family. Of course, even if I marry into the Wang family, I can only guarantee that I will stay in the Wang family for a period of time. At least a few hundred years, at most a few thousand years, or even 10,000 years. However, I may not stay in the Wang family forever. After all, I am used to wandering around the world, and I also want to bring my beautiful wife around the outer land to experience the local customs and culture. At the same time, I want to train myself and seek a breakthrough. However, if anything happens to the Wang family, as long as it is within my power, I will not shirk my duty. After all, my goal is to become a supreme powerhouse. If I stay in the Wang family and work behind closed doors, I may not be able to take that step. Of course, even if I become a supreme powerhouse, as long as I am Wang Luoyu's husband, I am a member of the Wang family. When Duan Ling Tian reached the end of his sentence, there was a burning look in his eyes. When he heard Duan Ling Tian's words, the Wang family grand elder did not think much of it. In his opinion, such a heaven-defying monster could not stay in the Wang family forever. The other party's interest in their Wang family's Wang Luoyu was probably just a whim. However, compared to a marriage alliance with a supreme powerhouse's young genius, if this young man was really willing to marry into the Wang family, it would undoubtedly be much more beneficial to the Wang family. Even if the young geniuses of the supreme powerhouse's forces were in the direct line of descent, they might not necessarily be able to rise to power in the future. Although their elders were at the peak of their power, they might not be willing to do something difficult for their wives and concubines. A marriage alliance with a supreme powerhouse's young genius was actually more of a matter of reputation. For example, if the Wang family grand elder had a marriage alliance with a certain faction, they might not let the matter rest if they touched the Wang family grand elder. However, if the young man in front of them really got together with their Wang family's Wang Luoyu, it would definitely be much more beneficial to the Wang family. From young Master Li Feng's words, it's not hard to see that young Master Li Feng is a straightforward person. Although the Wang family grand elder had suffered a loss in front of Duan Ling Tian, he was still all smiles. At the same time, he sent 2 messages to the current Wang family patriarch and his grandfather, one of the 2 Wang family grand elders. You flatter me, grand elder. Duan Ling Tian came back to his senses and smiled. Young Master Li Feng, please follow me to the Wang family's guest hall. Our Wang family patriarch has already gone there and is awaiting young Master Li Feng's arrival. In the message just now, the Wang family grand elder had already informed the Wang family patriarch and his grandfather, one of the 2 Wang family grand elders, of the ins and outs of the matter. According to the Wang family patriarch's intentions, if this matter really came to fruition, it would definitely be great for the Wang family. The Wang family grand elder had also expressed his willingness to spar with the other party and test his strength. If the young man was really not even 10,000 years old and already had the strength to contend with him, then the Wang family would definitely not let this son-in-law go so easily. They would do their best to keep him here. The Wang family patriarch had even sent a message to the leader of Wang Luoyu's direct line of descent, instructing him to do his job well for Wang Luoyu. If that monstrous young genius was really willing to win over Wang Luoyu, it would be a great opportunity for Wang Luoyu. It would also be a great opportunity for the Wang family. An existence who was not even 10,000 years old but was close to being an invincible higher ultimate god. Such a monstrous genius might be able to step into the ultimate realm and become an ultimate expert before the age of 20,000. An ultimate expert who was not even 20,000 years old, even in the outer realm and the history of the 10,000 worlds. Although there were not many of them, there were definitely not many of them. Moreover, each of them had left their names in history. Among them, there was no lack of universe supremacy experts. In the Wang family's estate, in a quiet and elegant courtyard, 2 young women were sitting in front of a stone table and chatting with each other. Both of them had a smile on their faces. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that one of the 2 young women was the woman who came to Lanshao City with him not long ago, Yi Changwei. Currently, the old woman who came with Yi Changwei was also standing at the side of the courtyard. Her gaze swept the surroundings vigilantly from time to time as though she was aware of the movements in the surroundings. Sister Changwei, I'm afraid the next time you want to look for me, it won't be in Lanshao City anymore. Even if you intend to look for me, you might not be able to get what you want. At this moment, the young woman sitting together with Yi Changwei suddenly seemed to have thought of something. A helpless expression appeared on her delicate and beautiful face. At the same time, a hint of pain flashed in the depths of her eyes. At this moment, she thought of her brother, Wang Yiyuan. When she thought of how she was often willful and made her brother unhappy in the past, her heart was filled with regret. Unknowingly, tears rolled down her cheeks like pear blossoms. Sister Luoyu, I'll look for Patriarch Wang later and tell him that I want to invite you to my place as a guest. After that, I'll arrange for you to leave and never return to the Wang family or Lanshao City again. Yi Qiangwei said with a resolute expression. This was also the purpose of her visit this time. Sister Qiangwei, I appreciate your kindness. Wang Luoyu shook her head lightly. However, if you really do this, it will only drag you down. Sister Luoyu, how is this a burden between us? If you and Brother Yiyuan didn't risk your life to save me back then, I would have died outside. Now that Brother Yiyuan is dead, you're my biological sister to me. Don't worry. I've already informed my father about what I'm going to do this time. He also supports me, Yi Qiangwei said. Yi Qiangwei shook her head. When Yi Qiangwei heard this, she shook her head again. Sister Qiangwei, Uncle Yi is at a crucial point in his competition for the position of Patriarch of the Ye family. If he offends the Wang family because of this, I'm afraid the people who originally supported him will waver. I don't want to implicate Uncle Yi. Don't worry. Even if I really have a marriage alliance, it's not necessarily a bad thing for me. Even if there are no feelings, we can still cultivate feelings. Although Wang Luoyu said it lightly, her heart was filled with helplessness. If possible, who would be willing to sacrifice themselves for the family's interests? Luoyu. Suddenly, a loud voice came from outside the courtyard. It was a strong old man with a head full of white hair who strode over and arrived outside the courtyard very quickly. Grandpa Ming. Wang Luoyu stood up and walked out of the courtyard accompanied by Yi Qiangwei. She bowed respectfully to the person who came. The person who came was the head of their branch. All these years, he had taken good care of her and her brother. It could be said that he completely treated them as his grandchildren. Misty is also here? When he saw Yi Qiangwei standing beside Wang Luoyu, the old man smiled and greeted her. In the past, the Ye family was nothing in the eyes of the Wang family, who had an ultimate expert holding the fort. However, now, the Ye family's strength was no weaker than the Wang family's because the Ye family had three existences who were close to being invincible at the supreme god level. One of them was the ancestor of the direct line of descent of the Ye family that Miss Yi was in. Chapter 44:15. Yi Qiangwei was a proud daughter of heaven in the Ye family. Her status in the Ye family was on a completely different level from Wang Luoyu's status in the Wang family. Yi Qiangwei's ancestor was one of the three strongest people in the Ye family. She was doted on by that ancestor. Moreover, there were very few female descendants in the Ye family's younger generation. Therefore, she had successfully become the proud daughter of heaven in the Ye family. Due to this, even Wang Ming, who was in charge of one of the Wang family's direct descendants, was very courteous to Yi Qiangwei. Elder Wang Ming. Yi Qiangwei nodded at Wang Ming. She had a good impression of this elder from the Wang family. According to Sister Luoyu, after Wang Yiyuan's accident, many people began to treat her coldly. However, this elder from the Wang family did not treat her that way. In fact, he had even comforted her a few times. Wang Ming glanced at Wang Luoyu and sighed. Luoyu, the patriarch sent a message to me. He said that there's a young talent who wants to meet you. He said that he's willing to marry into our Wang family for you. Based on the patriarch's words, it seems like he's more willing to let that young talent marry into our Wang family than marry you off. The patriarch sent me here to inform you of this matter. He asked me to wait for news. Once he sends word, I'll bring you to him to meet that young talent. Wang Ming said. A bitter smile appeared on Wang Luoyu's face when she heard Wang Ming's words. Although there was no need for her to marry into another family, what was the difference between this and an additional marriage? She still could not choose a husband for herself. Of course, she had already accepted her fate regarding the marriage, let alone this. Elder Wang Ming. Yi Qiangwei looked at Wang Ming and frowned slightly. I'm here to bring Sister Luoyu to our Ye family as a guest to relax. I hope Elder Wang Ming can delay this matter for her. When Wang Ming heard this, he looked deeply at Yi Qiangwei before he shook his head and said, Miss Yi, the fact that you're so considerate shows that you really want to help this girl. However, I advise you to give up on this idea. If this matter blows up, it won't be a good thing for your father. It might even cause your father to lose the chance to become the head of the Ye family. As an elder of the Ye family, Wang Ming knew quite a lot about them. Currently, the position of the head of the Ye family was being contested by two of the most outstanding young men in the prime of their lives. The two of them could be said to be evenly matched in every aspect. One of them was Yi Qiangwei's father. However, once Yi Qiangwei did something that infuriated the Wang family, the matter would definitely spread to the Ye family. It might even infuriate the Ye family elders, and they would favor Yi Qiangwei's father's opponent for the position of the head of the family. Hearing this, Yi Qiangwei's expression changed. She gritted her teeth and said, Then don't go to the Ye family. I'll be responsible for the whole thing. You're in charge? Wang Ming shook his head. Miss Yi, you're too naive. Even if you didn't bring Luoyu to the Ye family, as long as we can confirm that you were the one who took Luoyu away and ruined the Wang family's marriage, the Wang family will still blame you and demand an explanation from the Ye family. Don't tell me you're going to leave the Ye family? Wang Ming shook his head. He felt that this Miss Yi was too naive. Perhaps she was too worried and confused, so she didn't see the stakes clearly. As long as Sister Luoyu is fine, so what if I leave the Ye family? Yi Qiangwei's face turned slightly red as she said in a low voice, Sister Qiangwei. At this moment, Wang Luoyu opened her mouth. If you do this, Luoyu won't go with you even if she dies. Moreover, if you leave the Ye family, Uncle Yi will also be implicated at this juncture. Sister Qiangwei, don't interfere in this matter. No matter what the outcome is, no matter what the future holds, it's Luoyu's fate. As Wang Luoyu spoke, she sighed faintly. As for Yi Qiangwei, although she didn't say anything this time, it wasn't difficult to see how great a storm was raging in her heart just by looking at her darkened expression. Grandpa Ming, go sit down in the courtyard and wait for news from the family head. Wang Luoyu looked at Wang Ming and greeted him with a smile. As for Wang Ming, when he saw how sensible Wang Luoyu was, he sighed in his heart. At the same time, he felt a little regretful. If he had known this would happen, before the news of Wang Yiyuan's death spread, before everyone's eyes focused on Wang Luoyu, it would have been better if he had sent this girl away. At that time, it would have been easy to send her away. But now, it was difficult. Within the Wang family, a group of higher-ups who prioritized the family's interests were all eyeing Wang Luoyu, this family marriage tool. Luoyu. After Wang Ming entered and sat down, his originally serious face squeezed out a trace of a smile. Compared to a marriage outside, staying within the family is definitely a better choice. I heard from the elder in charge of patrolling today that the young talent is also a talent. Most importantly, he has astonishing strength at such a young age. In terms of natural talent and comprehension, even the most outstanding people in the younger generation of the family are far beyond his reach, even to the extent that no one in the younger generation of the Sky Sand territory can compare to him. Such a person can make many girls crazy for him, but he only took a fancy to you. Perhaps many years later, you'll be glad that you met him. Wang Luoyu took Wang Ming's words purely as comfort and didn't take it seriously at all. If he was really such a monstrous existence, why would he take a fancy to her, Wang Luoyu? Although she, Wang Luoyu, was publicly recognized as the #1 beauty in Blue Dawn City was only one of the cities within the Sky Sand territory. Not to mention the entire Outer Realm, even in the Sky Sand territory, there was probably someone who could not compare to her in terms of appearance and temperament. Elder Wang Ming. At this moment, even Yi Qiangwei could not bear to continue watching. She felt that Wang Ming's comfort was too exaggerated. If he is really such a monstrous figure as you said, would he be willing to marry into the Wang family for Luoyu? Based on what you said, he has a high possibility of becoming an omnipotent expert in the future. Would such a person be willing to marry into the Wang family for a woman he has never met and only seen in her portrait? Yi Qiangwei was a disciple of an aristocratic family and had seen much of the world. She knew the pride of those capable young geniuses. It was impossible for them to marry into the Wang family for a woman when they knew that the family was of no help to them. Based on what Wang Ming said, that young talent did not need to rely on the Wang family at all even if he married into the Wang family. Perhaps the Wang family would need to rely on him soon. Would such a person be willing to marry into the Wang family? What a joke. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was unaware of the situation at Wang Luoyu's side. He was meeting the Wang family's current clan leader in the Wang family's main hall. The current clan leader of the Wang family was a tall and sturdy middle-aged man. His face was resolute, and there was a hideous scar on his forehead that looked like an earthworm. In fact, such a scar could be easily removed. However, since the clan leader kept it, there must be a reason for it. Clan leader, this is young Master Li Feng. After the Wang family's grand elder brought Duan Lingtian into the Wang family's main hall, he began to introduce Duan Lingtian to the clan leader. Li Feng greets the clan leader of the Wang family. Although Duan Lingtian knew that the clan leader of the Wang family before him might not be a match for him, since he was here on business, he could not afford to fall out with the clan leader. If he fell out with the clan leader, it would not be beneficial for him to take away Wang Yuan's younger sister, Wang Luoyu. In fact, it might even cause more trouble. Brother Li Feng. Although the person before him looked very young, and the result of his divine consciousness probing showed that he was also very young, the clan leader of the Wang family did not dare to slight the other party because of this. After all, his strength was not much stronger than their Wang family's grand elder. However, their Wang family's grand elder had suffered a great loss at the hands of the other party. Therefore, the clan leader of the Wang family was not only full of smiles at this moment, he even warmly welcomed Duan Lingtian. My name is Wang Kuei, and I'm the current clan leader of the Wang family. If Brother Li Feng can really get together with our Wang family's Luoyu, it would not only be Luoyu's honor, it would also be our Wang family's honor. I've already contacted the Grand Elder regarding Brother Li Feng's request to spar with our Wang family's Grand Elder. The Grand Elder's intention is that he is willing to spar with Brother Li Feng. Also, the Grand Elder's intention is that Brother Li Feng has come from afar, so he can rest in our Wang family for a few days and recover to his peak condition before you spar with him, Wang Kuei said with a smile. There's no need for that. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Clan leader Wang, tell the Grand Elder that I can spar now. If he's willing, we can spar now. Seeing that Wang Kuei seemed to be slightly hesitant, Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly as he said, after I spar with the Grand Elder, it's time for me to officially meet Miss Luoyu. To me, this spar with the Grand Elder is a demonstration of my strength in front of the Wang family. I want to let the Wang family know that I, Li Feng, am worthy of Miss Luoyu. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Wang Kuei's expression changed slightly before he said with a smile, since Brother Li Feng has said so, I'll send a message to ask the Grand Elder. After a moment, Wang Kuei received a reply. Brother Li Feng, the Grand Elder asked me to bring you to see him. In order not to cause too much of a commotion, your spar with him will be held in one of our Wang family's spatial artifacts. Do you have any objections? If you want to spar outside, you'll have to find a secluded place outside the city, Wang Kuei asked with a smile. Duan Lingtian shook his head. I have no objections. If the space in your family's spatial artifact is stable enough, we'll spar there. Chapter 44:16. Sky Sand Territory. Kanglan City. Kanglan City was also a big city in Sky Sand Territory that had an ultimate expert. Its status in Sky Sand Territory was no less than Lan Shao City and Dancing Sun City. Of course, everyone knew that Dancing Sun City had been destroyed. It was no longer as prosperous as it used to be. With the destruction of the 5 big clans, order had collapsed and the rules had been broken. It had become a ruined city. Similar things often happened in the outer realms. A large city might be flourishing one day, but the next day, because of an unforeseen event, it would be completely destroyed and become one of the countless ruined cities in the outer realm. Just like the ruined cities that Duan Lingtian had been to in the past, they often had a prosperous past. However, time was merciless, and in the blink of an eye, the world had changed. Kanglan City had a total of 5 big clans, and each of them had an ultimate expert. The 5 big clans had the best resources in Kanglan City. The other clans below them, including more than 10 second clans, could only rely on them to survive. After all, they were not as strong as them, and there was nothing to complain about when they were suppressed by them. Under such circumstances, the powerhouses of the various second-rate clans were also working hard, wanting to take a step further and step into the realm of the ultimate powerhouses. Once an ultimate expert was born in a second clans, they would be directly ranked as a first clans. However, Kanglan City was not peaceful today. Boom, boom, boom. The sky above Kanglan City was covered with dark clouds. Thunder and lightning intertwined, and it looked like it was going to rain. However, it did not rain for a long time. Suddenly, a strong light appeared in the sky, causing Kanglan City, which was originally dark because of the dark clouds, to experience the change from day to night, and then back to day again. Bang! An earth-shattering sound of thunder came from the sky. The terrifying sound wave even caused the entire Kanglan City to tremble a few times. Then, under the gaze of everyone in Kanglan City who looked up at the sky, a figure rose from a mansion in Kanglan City and arrived in the sky above Kanglan City. Thunder and lightning fell from the sky like a waterfall, drowning the figure. After that, space warped, and even the lightning and dark clouds were swept into it. This scene caused many people to be stunned. This is what's going on? Looking at the calm sky, a moment ago, it was still raging, but now it was incomparably quiet. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, it would have been hard to imagine that there would be such a big change. At this moment, a figure appeared in the air above each of the 5 spacious mansions in the inner city of Kanglan City. Then, these 5 figures all gathered together. I really didn't expect that the 6th strongest in our Kanglan City would be that guy from the Ming clan. One of them sighed emotionally. That old fellow is from the same generation as me. Back then, his innate talent and comprehension were not inferior to mine. If it wasn't for the fact that he experienced quite a big calamity later on that delayed his progress, perhaps he would have become an ultimate expert a step ahead of me. I have to say that this guy is pretty lucky. I heard that he was injured during the last Millennium Tribulation. Although it was only a minor injury, it's a sign of decline for a high-level ultimate god like him. If he can't break through and become an ultimate god, it's only a matter of time before he falls under the heavenly tribulation. Once he breaks through, our Kanglan City will have a 6th ultimate god. The Ming clan will also become the 6th first-rate clan in Kanglan City. Everyone, greet the juniors below. Take out some of the properties that our 5 clans are in charge of and distribute them to the Ming clan. From today onward, the Ming clan will be on equal footing with our 5 major clans. Become an ultimate god. In the air above the mansions of the 5 major first-rate clans in Kanglan City, the 5 ultimate gods gathered together to communicate. Obviously, not only did they recognize the person who had hidden in the clouds earlier and was swept away by the heavenly tribulation, but they could also see that he was about to become an ultimate god. As ultimate gods, they had all experienced a similar experience. They were taken away by the power of heaven and earth, swept into a space, and underwent a baptism to transform their strength and completely become an ultimate god. There was no danger in this process. As long as a person reached this step, they would be able to smoothly become a supreme expert. However, it was extremely difficult to reach this step. One had to meet the requirements of becoming an ultimate god in a certain aspect to receive the recognition of heaven and earth, be baptized by lightning and refined by space, and finally become an ultimate god. Currently, one of the Ming clan's second-rate clans in Kanglan City, who was close to becoming an invincible higher godly venerable, had reached this step and was taken away by the power of heaven and earth. Next, he would be baptized by lightning and refined by space to become an ultimate god. This was just a process. In the eyes of the ultimate gods of the 5 major first-rate clans, when this person from the Ming clan returned, he would be an ultimate god who could be on equal footing with them. Although he had just entered the ultimate realm, they were not necessarily stronger than him, even if some of them had become ultimate gods tens of thousands of years ago. After entering the ultimate realm, it was extremely difficult to advance further. It was precisely because of this that most ultimate gods' strength was on the same level. Even if they were stronger, it could only be because their original bodies were different and their clans were different. Humans, for example, were at a disadvantage in this aspect. Even if a human's body was transformed by the baptism of heaven and earth when they became ultimate gods, the transformation effect was not as good as those of great demons and foreign life forms because their foundation was not as good as those of other life forms. Even so, the strength of a human ultimate god's body was not something that any great demons and foreign life forms who had not become ultimate gods could compare to. In the sky above Kanglan City, a phenomenon descended. In the second-rate Ming clan, a figure flew into the sky and was swept away by the power of heaven and earth. Many people saw this scene. Some people who knew about the phenomenon of an ultimate god breaking through also realized that the Ming clan was about to produce an ultimate god. The Ming clan is going to rise completely this time. The Ming clan has produced an ultimate god. The Ming clan will become the sixth first-rate clan in our Kanglan City. Similar discussions were everywhere in Kanglan City. In the Ming clan mansion, there was already a wave of excited laughter and cheers. The ancestor has become an ultimate god. Our Ming clan has risen. I really didn't expect that our Ming clan would produce an ultimate god one day. This will be the first ultimate god in our Ming clan's history, right? Yes. Although our Ming clan has produced many ultimate gods in the past, the strongest in history was only an existence that was extremely close to being an invincible higher ultimate god. An ultimate god has never appeared before. When the ancestor returns, our Ming clan will become a first-rate clan in Kanglan City. Haha. Just now, I received a message from some friends of the 5 first-rate clans. They said that their clans have already gathered to discuss ceding some of their properties to our Ming clan. In my life, to be able to see the Ming clan today, even if I die, I will have no regrets. Everyone in the Ming clan was excited. In a spacious and luxurious courtyard in the Ming clan, a young man's face was filled with excitement, but a hint of gloominess also flashed in his eyes. The Wang clan of Lanshao City completely looked down on me when I came to propose marriage. Isn't it because our Ming clan has never produced an ultimate god and is not strong enough? Now, our Ming clan has produced an ultimate god. Moreover, it's the ancestor of my bloodline. Moreover, it's my direct bloodline, and I'm the only son of the ancestor. He was well aware of how much that old ancestor of his valued him. In the past, he lacked a rare herb because of his cultivation. It was the ancestor who went deep into the tiger's den to retrieve the rare herb for him, allowing his cultivation path to be smooth sailing. That old ancestor completely saw him as the hope of the direct line of descent that was passed down. When the ancestor returns, I'll mention to him that I'm the one who wants to marry the woman from the Wang clan of Lanshao City. Even if the ancestor doesn't personally make an appearance, he'll definitely let the clan do it. At that time, I'd like to see how the Wang clan of Lanshao City, which only produced an ultimate god in the past, has the guts to reject my marriage proposal. In the past, I wanted to take Wang Luoyu as my first wife, but now, she's only fit to be a lowly concubine. The eyes of the Ming clan's younger direct bloodline disciple, Ming Yuzheng, shone brightly. There was a hint of coldness in the depths of his eyes. Regardless of whether it was the death of one of the 5 ultimate gods in Wuyang City, the annihilation of the 5 great clans, or the birth of another ultimate god in Kanglan City, they were all major events in the Tiansha region. News of these 2 major events reached Lanshao City one after another. In Lanshao City, the news of these 2 incidents spread like wildfire. Even as more and more people in the second-rate Wang family's mansion knew about it, the head of the Wang family and the head elder of the Wang family had already left the Wang family. Of course, strictly speaking, they did not leave the Wang clan. Instead, they entered a spatial artifact that had been passed down in the Wang clan for generations. Within the spatial artifact, a purple-robed youth stood in the air. Currently, the space around him was a vast expanse, and he could not see the end of it. Opposite the purple-robed youth was an old man with white hair and a youthful complexion. He was dressed in a light green robe and looked at Duan Lingtian calmly. No emotions could be seen on his face. You're not even 10,000 years old, but you have such strength. You can be considered a peerless genius. I wonder where you're from, little brother? The green-robed old man was one of the 2 grand elders of the second-grade Wang clan of Wuyang City. He was also one of the Wang clan's two existences who were close to being an invincible high-level supreme god. In his opinion, the young man before him was so peerless that there was no way he was just a lone cultivator. No matter how lucky a lone cultivator was, it would be difficult for him to reach this stage at such a young age. Senior, Duan Lingtian said calmly, if you want to chat with me, let's finish sparring first. How about that? You're rather impatient. The green-robed old man shook his head and smiled disdainfully. Then, his turbid gaze changed and became extremely sharp. If that's the case, then let me see what you're capable of. In the next moment, the old man's aura shot up to the sky. His entire person seemed to have transformed into a sharp sword and swept towards Duan Lingtian. Chapter 44:17. That was right. The Grand Supreme Elder of the Wang clan in Lanshao City was also a sword cultivator. His sword radiance soared into the sky as the metal elemental law shone brightly and filled the entire artifact space. It was like a blazing sun that illuminated the dark and murky time and brought light to the universe. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by the appearance of the metal elemental law at the perfection stage. No matter what, his opponent was the Grand Supreme Elder of the Wang clan in Lanshao City and was said to be close to an invincible upper ultimate god. It was not surprising that he had comprehended the metal elemental law at the perfection stage. However, what shocked Duan Lingtian was that the Grand Supreme Elder of the Wang clan in Lanshao City was not only proficient in the metal elemental law, but he had also mastered the sword principle. Moreover, it was not the embryonic form of the sword principle, but the real sword principle. Of course, in terms of the sword principle realm, he was much weaker than Duan Lingtian. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian also unleashed his sword. In terms of weapons, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, which was now a supreme artifact, did not have any advantage because the sword in the Wang clan Grand Supreme Elder's hand was also a supreme artifact. Duan Lingtian infused his divine power into the divine sword. The sword hummed, and the seven-colored sword radiance shone brilliantly. It was especially eye-catching among the golden sword radiance that filled the sky. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The golden sword radiance filled the entire artifact space. The terrifying sword essence seemed to cause the entire artifact space to tremble. The current Wang clan leader and the Wang clan Grand Supreme Elder stood in the distance with a solemn expression. In the past, they had once asked this Supreme Elder to give them guidance. However, compared to the situation today, this Supreme Elder was only playing a small game with them in the past. Today, they had truly witnessed the Grand Supreme Elder's peerless talent. The metal elemental law was amazing. The sword principle was equally amazing. No wonder some people say that the Grand Supreme Elder is the hope of the Wang clan to have another ultimate expert. The Grand Supreme Elder might really have the chance to enter the ultimate realm and become an ultimate expert. The Wang clan leader muttered to himself. In the field, Duan Lingtian and the Supreme Elder of the Wang clan were fighting. When the Supreme Elder activated his bloodline power to attack, Duan Lingtian also felt the terrifying strength of this white-haired old man. No wonder he was close to being an invincible high-level supreme god. This person was definitely the most powerful opponent he had encountered since coming to the Outer Realm. Apart from the Immortal Realm, no one would dare to say that they could win against the old man in front of them unless an invincible higher-level supreme god appeared. Senior, your strength is truly admirable. However, I'm afraid it's impossible for you to defeat me with just the sword Dao. In the blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian had already exchanged over 100 moves with the old man. After these 100 moves, although Duan Lingtian fell into a slight disadvantage a few times, he quickly turned the situation around. He'd relied on none other than his sword Dao that was even more formidable than the sword Dao that his opponent had grasped. When it came to the path of the sword, the one who reached the apex would be the first. This had nothing to do with age. It was only related to perception. After 100 moves, the Supreme Elder of the Wang clan also noticed the problem. Since he had comprehended the sword Dao, his opponent had relied on his more powerful sword Dao to find a loophole and escape many times when he had the upper hand. This was entirely because his opponent's sword Dao was more powerful than his. In terms of strength, his opponent was actually weaker than him, even if his opponent's sword Dao was stronger. However, because both of them had mastered the way of the sword, even if their paths were different, they were still ways of the sword, and there were many similarities between them. Today, even if I don't master the sword Dao but saber Dao, spear Dao, or other weapons, it's almost impossible for me to defeat him, unless I master one of the other three heaven and earth Daos. After realizing this, the supreme elder of the Wang clan could not help but sigh. Let's end the sparring here. If this continues, both of us will only continue to exhaust each other. I'm afraid it's not possible for us to determine the victor. I admit that it's impossible for me to defeat you. However, it's also impossible for you to defeat me. In the end, my strength is still a level higher than yours. After saying this, the supreme elder of the Wang clan had already put away his powerful divine sword. He stood in the distance and looked at Duan Lingtian with a complicated gaze. If he had not seen it with his own eyes and experienced it for himself, he would not have believed that a young man who was not even 10,000 years old could reach this stage. He was even certain that this was the case. As long as this person did not die prematurely, it was only a matter of time before he became an ultimate expert. In fact, if this person became an ultimate expert, he would not be an ordinary ultimate expert. He knew about ultimate experts. Many ultimate experts were extremely talented before they became ultimate experts, but after they became ultimate experts, it was difficult for them to progress any further. That was because they had wasted far too much time before they became omnipotent powerhouses. For example, if he became an ultimate expert one day, his strength would probably remain at that level forever. If he wanted to progress any further, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. He was already very old. In fact, he might not even have the chance to become an ultimate expert. However, when he thought about the battle just now, the supreme elder of the Wang clan could not help but have an uncontrollable light in the depths of his eyes. Earlier, he had stopped in time not only because he felt that there was no point in continuing, but also because he had comprehended something in the way of the sword during the battle. At this moment, he was communicating with Duan Lingtian as he tried to capture that vague feeling. If his way of the sword could progress further, he would be one step closer to becoming an ultimate expert. Indeed, Duan Lingtian nodded. The battle just now had allowed him to witness the old man's strength. If Senior did not comprehend the way of the weapon, based on Senior's attainments in that way of the sword, I would only lose if the battle dragged on. Let's end this battle here. Next, I have a request that I hope Senior will agree to, Duan Lingtian said to the old man. Speak. The purple-clad young man before him had helped him find an opportunity to improve his way of the sword. Even if it was not intentional, he had unintentionally helped him greatly. He was still very grateful for this. When he heard that the other party had a request, he naturally could not refuse. In fact, as long as it was within his power, he would not refuse. He had been so magnanimous all his life. If he went against his heart now, it would be even more difficult for him to improve further. This junior hopes that Senior can be a matchmaker and help me and Miss Wang Luoyu from the aristocracy. In my life, I have seen many beauties, but only this Miss Wang Luoyu made me fall in love with her at first sight, unable to extricate myself. If I am not fated to be with her, I'm afraid my path to becoming an ultimate expert will be obstructed. I'm sure Senior can understand why you have come to this point. One wrong step will lead to many more mistakes, and in the end, it will be harder than ascending to the heavens to try to remedy it. Duan Lingtian's expression became more and more solemn as he spoke. Of course, these words of his were naturally nonsense, however. Even though it was nonsense, there was evidence to be relied on and there were traces to be followed. At least, there was no loophole to be found. The other party was stunned at first, then he looked deeply at Duan Lingtian. I've heard about this matter from the clan leader. I really did not expect that a female disciple of our clan would be fortunate enough to become a hindrance to little brother Li Feng's path of cultivation. After he finished speaking, he pondered for a while and said, however, this so-called marrying into the clan is just a joke. It is her fortune to be able to marry you. Little brother Li Feng, If there is anything you need the Wang clan to do, you don't have to stand on ceremony. From now on, we are all one family. The words of the Wang clan's supreme elder were obviously intending to help Duanling Tian. As far as he was concerned, if he could do this favor, it would only be beneficial to him and the Wang clan, and there would be no harm at all. Duanling Tian never imagined that the Wang clan's supreme elder would be so open-minded and directly agree to it. Moreover, his words were magnanimous, causing Duanling Tian, who originally had a firm will, to be unable to help but be slightly shaken. A wave of guilt rose from his heart. Forget it. I'll just take it that I owe him and the Wang clan a favor. I'll just return these 2 favors in the future. Duanling Tian comforted himself in his heart. At the same time, he quickly adjusted his emotions. On the other side, the Wang clan leader and the Wang clan grand elder quickly found out about Duanling Tian's attitude from the Wang clan's grand elder. They were also told to cooperate with Duanling Tian. Of course, in their eyes, Duanling Tian was a peerless monster called Li Feng who came from outside the Tiansha realm. He had the potential to be extremely powerful. Grand Elder, I'll definitely handle this matter properly. The head of the Wang clan repeatedly agreed. Subsequently, the Wang clan's Grand Elder bid farewell to Duanling Tian and left. The Wang clan leader called out to Duanling Tian and left together. Little brother Li Feng, I'll first arrange a place for you to stay. Then, I'll immediately have someone bring Wang Luoyu to see you. Chapter 44:18. Before the Wang clan's supreme elder left, he informed Duanling Tian of his name, Wang Jingrao. It was obvious that he had acknowledged Duanling Tian's strength. Otherwise, as a senior who was much older than Duanling Tian, he would not have been so courteous to Duanling Tian. This was a form of acknowledgement from Duanling Tian. It should be noted that even in the Wang clan, very few people knew the Supreme Elder's name. Although most people knew of his existence, they would address him respectfully as Ancestor or Supreme Elder. Subsequently, when Duanling Tian, the Wang clan leader, and the Wang clan's Grand Elder left together, the Wang clan's Grand Elder introduced himself respectfully to Duanling Tian. After that, the Wang clan's Grand Elder bade farewell and left. The Wang clan leader led Duanling Tian to personally arrange a place for Duanling Tian to stay in the Wang clan. Although the place was in the Wang clan's mansion, there were a few artificial mountains and a small stream that flowed through it. On both sides of the stream were flowers and trees. There were also many small birds circling around it. It could be said that it was a place filled with birds chirping and flowers fragrant. Brother Li Feng, if there's anything you need, just tell her. From now on, she'll be at your disposal. She'll arrange for some maids to come over later. Not long after the Wang clan leader led Duanling Tian into the quiet courtyard, an ordinary-looking, kind-looking middle-aged woman arrived. After greeting the Wang clan leader respectfully, she looked at Duanling Tian with surprise in her eyes before lowering her head again. Aunt Xiao has been in our Wang clan for many years and has always been reliable. At the same time, she's also one of the housekeepers of our Wang clan. With her at your disposal, Brother Li Feng, there shouldn't be any problems. As the Wang clan leader instructed the middle-aged woman, he used voice transmission to introduce Duanling Tian to the middle-aged woman in depth. The middle-aged woman's eyes widened continuously during this process. This young man was not even 10,000 years old, but he was able to fight to a draw with one of the 2 strongest people in the Wang clan. At this moment, she finally understood why the clan leader had arranged for him to stay here. One had to know that this was the place where the Wang clan had always entertained their most esteemed guests. A long time ago, when the Wang clan still had a supreme expert, some of the supreme expert's ancestors' friends had even stayed here. Later on, those who were able to live in this place were either astonishingly powerful or had an extraordinary background. Moreover, they had a high status in the forces behind them. Earlier, she had assumed he was a spoiled brat from some supreme expert force. She did not expect him to be someone with frightening strength. I'll have to trouble then. Duanling Tian lightly smiled as he greeted the woman, and the woman was instantly slightly flattered when she heard this. Young Master Li Feng, you're too courteous. Feel free to let me know if there's anything you need me for. Brother. The Wang clan leader looked at Duanling Tian and said with a smile, do you intend to rest first and see Wang Luoyu tomorrow? Or do you want to see her now? If you want to see her now, I'll get someone to bring her here. The Wang clan leader said. See you tomorrow. Duan Lingtian said to the Wang clan leader. Now, he was destined to see Wang Luoyu, so there was no hurry. Although he did not suffer any injuries in the battle with the Wang clan Grand Elder, his essence, qi, and spirit had been greatly depleted. He indeed needed to rest, of course. This kind of depletion of essence, qi, and spirit would take at most 10 days to half a month to fully recover. All right. Duan Ling Tian's reply was within the expectations of the Wang clan's patriarch. At the same time, he was able to understand the inner workings of the young man before him. He surely wanted to face the person he admired in a better state. He had been young before. He, too, once had someone he liked. Brotherly foam. Since that's the case, I'll take my leave first. Have a good rest. If there's anything you need, and if Aunt Shou can't handle it, you can ask her to look for me. If there's something urgent, you can ask Aunt Shou to call me over. In front of Duan Lingtian, the Wang clan leader, Wang Kue, was very humble. He even said bluntly that if Duan Lingtian had something urgent, he could ask someone to look for him. After all, he was the Wang clan leader. In the Wang clan, the only ones who could make him run around were the two Grand Supreme Elders with lofty statuses. And now, there was obviously another person. After Duan Lingtian officially settled down in the Wang clan, on the other side of the Wang clan mansion, Wang Ming looked at Wang Luoyu and said with a sigh, the clan leader just sent a message saying that that person will rest first today and will only see you tomorrow. Have a good rest tonight. I'll look for you at noon tomorrow and bring you to see him. As soon as Wang Ming finished speaking, he turned around and left. As he turned around, he could not help but shake his head lightly. If it was possible, he also hoped that Wang Luoyu would be able to walk out of the cage that was the Wang clan. However, it was obviously impossible. The Wang clan would not give up on such a good social resource. After Wang Ming left, Yi Qiangwei could not help but feel slightly angry. What did that person mean? So impolite? He came to look for you. If he wanted to see you, he would see you. If he didn't want to see you, he wouldn't see you. Why did he purposely drag it out until tomorrow? He made us wait here for half a day in vain. Right now, Yi Qiangwei was a little angry. Sister Qiangwei. Wang Luoyu shook her head lightly and said, since that person wants to see me tomorrow, he must have his own plans. Don't be angry because of me. When Yi Qiangwei heard Wang Luoyu's words, she could not help but frown. Then, she sent a voice transmission to the old woman standing nearby and asked if she was confident she could bring Wang Luoyu out of the Wang clan. Young Mississippi, the old woman sent a voice transmission and sighed. If we had just arrived, as long as Miss Luoyu cooperated, perhaps we would have some confidence. But now, I'm afraid it's impossible. Just now, I could clearly feel that there were a few more powerful divine senses in the surroundings. Obviously, there are strong people in the Wang clan watching over here. Their purpose is to prevent Miss Luoyu from leaving. When the old woman said this, Yi Qiangwei instantly felt despair, but at the same time, she became even more furious. Tomorrow, I'll follow Sister Luoyu over to see. What kind of man is actually so shameless to force a girl to marry him? Now, Yi Qiangwei was counting her chickens before they hatched. However, the next day, when she wanted to go over with Wang Luoyu, she was stopped by Wang Ming. Young Miss Yi, the patriarch said that only Luoyu will be brought over. As for you, you can't follow. When Wang Ming said this, Yi Qiangwei originally wanted to say something but was stopped by the old woman. Young miss, let's stay here and wait for Miss Luoyu to return. Because right when Wang Ming finished speaking, she clearly sensed that a few terrifying auras had locked onto her, and it seemed as if they would attack her at any moment. Chapter 44:19. Within the elegant and tranquil courtyard that was filled with the fragrance of flowers and the chirping of birds, the sound of flowing water ceaselessly rang out. Duan Ling Tian, who wore violet clothes, was squatting by the side of the stream as he stretched out his hand to pick up a small fish that had swam into the shallows and was stranded before releasing it back into the stream. Little fellow, don't wander around willfully in the future. You've gone too far in some places, and the only thing waiting for you is the end of your life. Duan Lingtian muttered as he looked at the small fish that he had released. At the same time, his gaze became a little dazed at this moment. He was a stranger in a foreign land. To him, the land outside the realm was truly a foreign land. Most of the places here were far away from the god-defying realm where he was originally from. There were tens of thousands of realms connected to this place, including the god-defying realm. Young Master Li Feng, the clan leader, has brought Miss Luoyu here. Suddenly, the woman's voice sounded out from behind Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he stood up as well. At the same time, he turned around and looked outside the courtyard. Outside the courtyard, Wang Kuei, the clan leader of the Wang clan, was leading the way. Two people followed behind him. One was an old man, and the other was a young woman with a beautiful face. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian could not help but sigh in his heart. She's indeed beautiful to be recognized as the most beautiful woman in Lanshao City. Moreover, Wang Luoyu did not look like Wang Yiyuan at all. If Wang Yiyuan had not asked him to take care of his sister before he died, he would not have believed that such a beautiful woman was Wang Yiyuan's sister. It wasn't that Wang Yiyuan was ugly, but the two of them didn't look alike at all. Haha, Brother Li Feng, sorry to keep you waiting. Wang Kuei walked into the courtyard and greeted Duan Lingtian with a laugh as though they were close friends. Wang Ming and Wang Luoyu followed behind him as well. Wang Ming followed suit and bowed to Duan Lingtian. Wang family's elder Wang Ming and Wang Luoyu, a descendant of our lineage, greet young Master Li Feng. With this sentence, Duan Lingtian knew that he was the person in charge of Wang Yuan and Wang Luoyu's direct line of descent. Patriarch Wang. Duan Lingtian smiled at Wang Kuei. Then, his gaze fell on Wang Luoyu. In that instant, his gaze became somewhat scorching. He even turned a deaf ear to Wang Kuei's next words. Seeing this, Wang Kuei didn't feel embarrassed or angry. He just smiled and called out to Wang Ming and the woman in the courtyard, as well as a few other servant girls, and then left with them. Duan Lingtian and Wang Luoyu were left alone in the courtyard. In his opinion, at this time, what Brother Li Feng wanted the most was to spend time alone with Wang Luoyu. Elder Wang Ming, Brother Li Feng is a man of striking appearance. It won't be an insult to Luoyu. You don't have to look so glum. After leaving the courtyard, Wang Kuei frowned slightly and looked at Wang Ming. He naturally saw the unnatural expression on Wang Ming's face. Hearing this, Wang Ming smiled bitterly. Patriarch, if Luoyu can be with young Master Li Feng, it's his fault. I'm only glum because I'm worried that young Master Li Feng will get bored and abandon Luoyu in the future. This girl lost her parents when she was young. She and her only brother, Wang Yiyuan, depend on each other. Now, even Wang Yiyuan, Wang Ming didn't continue. He just shook his head and sighed. Hearing this, Wang Kuei's expression softened slightly. What happened to Wang Yiyuan is something that no one wants to see. After all, he was publicly acknowledged by the two grand elders as the one with the most hope of reaching the ultimate stage among the current generation of Wang family disciples. As the patriarch of the Wang family, how could he not feel heartache when something happened to Wang Yiyuan? Wang Yiyuan was considered a genius even in the history of the Wang family. Of course, he definitely couldn't compare to that monster called Li Feng, but in the Sky Sand realm, he was still a rare genius. Duan Lingtian naturally didn't know or hear the conversation between the patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Kuei, and Wang Ming outside the courtyard. This was because the courtyard had its own soundproofing array that isolated the sounds inside. Since Duan Lingtian couldn't hear it, Wang Luoyu naturally couldn't hear it either. Come and sit. After confirming that the patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Kuei, and the others had left the courtyard, they no longer observed them. Duan Lingtian's burning gaze towards Wang Luoyu disappeared and was replaced by indifference. After that, Duan Lingtian slowly walked to the stone table in the courtyard and sat down. At the same time, he gestured for Wang Luoyu to sit as well. At this moment, Wang Luoyu was also a little confused. Just now, the burning gaze of the other party had scared her so much that her heartbeat kept accelerating, and the sudden change in the other party's attitude completely baffled her. However, although she walked closer to Duan Lingtian, she didn't dare to sit down. Instead, she stood in front of the stone table and lowered her head somewhat awkwardly. Young Master Li Feng, What are your orders? Sit down. Duan Lingtian spoke again. His voice was a little louder, and there was an unquestionable tone in his voice. Seeing that Wang Luoyu was trembling in fear but still didn't sit down, Duan Lingtian shook his head and shrugged helplessly. Sit down. I'm a friend of your brother, Wang Yiyuan. My brother's friend? Wang Luoyu finally raised her head and glanced at Duan Lingtian. There was confusion and disbelief in her eyes. I've never heard my brother mention you as a friend. I know almost all of my brother's friends, Wang Luoyu said. Although that was what she said, Wang Luoyu also felt that with the other party's status, there was no need for him to pretend to be her brother's friend, unless he wanted to use this opportunity to quickly get closer to her. But that didn't seem to be necessary. After all, with the Wang family around, she couldn't possibly reject the other party. I met your brother not long before he died, Li Mu said. Duan Lingtian spoke again. Wang Luoyu's expression immediately changed. Then, as if she had suddenly gained courage, she stared straight at Duan Lingtian. Young Master Li Feng, do you know how my brother died? At this moment, Wang Luoyu seemed to have lost her composure. Sit down and let's talk. This time, Wang Luoyu was finally willing to sit down, but her gaze towards Duan Lingtian became increasingly anxious. Young Master Li Feng, do you know? She knew nothing about her brother's death, nor did she have any clues. Even the Wang family didn't have any clues. I know. As Duan Lingtian spoke, Wang Luoyu's eyes suddenly brightened. At the same time, she became even more anxious. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian did not hide anything. He recounted how he and Wang Yiyuan were similar, and at the same time, he also told her about the situation he and Wang Yiyuan were in at that time. When she found out that her brother had died in the scheme of a supreme powerhouse, although Wang Luoyu felt despair, she was still filled with grief and indignation. After all, that was her brother, her biological brother. Unknowingly, she bit her lips so hard that it bled. Her delicate fists were also tightly clenched. It was obvious that she was unable to control her emotions. I'm here this time because I've been entrusted by your brother, Wang Yiyuan, to bring you away from the Wang family so that you won't be used as a tool for the marriage alliance. My real name is Duan Lingtian, not Li Feng. However, it's best not to reveal my real identity in front of them. Also, don't let them know my purpose. Otherwise, they won't let me bring you away. Duan Lingtian directly told Wang Luoyu the purpose of his visit this time. This was also to prevent Wang Luoyu from resisting during the process. Do you have any evidence to prove that you know my brother? Earlier, you said that he gave his spatial ring to you as well? Wang Luoyu looked at Duan Lingtian as if she wanted to confirm it one last time. When she saw Duan Lingtian take out a spatial ring, she was finally completely certain that he was not lying. To be able to make her brother remove the ownership of the self-destructing spatial ring meant that her brother trusted the person he entrusted the spatial ring to very much, and she believed in her brother's judgment. Elder brother Duan, before my brother died, was he in a lot of pain? After confirming Duan Lingtian's identity, Wang Luoyu's voice trembled slightly. Her tone was filled with uncontrollable sobs. Chapter 44:20. He didn't suffer much when he died. Duan Lingtian recalled the scene of Wang Yiyuan's death and sighed. He said to Wang Luoyu, the only thing he couldn't let go of was you. However, even before he died, he still tried his best to give you a way out. Of course, at that time, he wasn't sure if I could escape from the clutches of that supreme powerhouse. However, that was the only thing he could do for you at that time. As for me, after I escaped, I searched all the way and came to Lanshao City. After I found out about your current situation, I thought of this idea. I pretended to marry into the Wang clan, but in reality, I wanted to bring you away from the Wang clan and Lanshao City to a place where the Wang clan couldn't find you and settle you down there. Duan Lingtian said, Elder brother Duan, you're so considerate. Wang Luoyu nodded lightly, but her tears still flowed down uncontrollably. She seemed to have lost her strength at this moment. Her brother was really gone. I hope you don't disappoint your brother Wang Yiyuan's last words to me. From now on, you just have to listen to my arrangements. I'll bring you away from the Wang clan in one piece. Duan Lingtian said again. The girl in front of him was crying so hard that she was like a pear blossom in the rain. However, he did not have much time to pity this girl. He was more concerned about how he could escape from the Wong clan without any flaws. Although the Grand Elder of the Wong clan seemed to think highly of him and was friendly to him, however, the premise was that he wanted to marry a female disciple of the Wong clan. The Grand Elder also hoped that he would be related to the Wong clan. Once the Grand Elder found out that he was only here to bring Wang Luoyu away, he might not be so easy to talk to. Although his talent and comprehension were high, and if there were no accidents, there was hope for him to become a supreme powerhouse in the future. However, so what if that was the case? After all, he was still not a supreme powerhouse. The Wong clan might not be willing to give up the best marriage tool in the Wong clan just to invest in him. Elder brother Duan, don't worry. Hearing Duan Lingtian mention her brother again, Wang Luoyu's pretty face froze, and she became unusually serious. I won't disappoint my brother. I definitely won't. Next, I will do whatever you want me to do, Wang Luoyu said. All right. A smile finally appeared on Duan Lingtian's face. As long as the other party cooperated, he would be able to do the rest by himself. However, for the sake of caution, he seriously reminded Wang Luoyu again, don't let anyone know about this. And let a third person know that Li Feng is just a name I made up. Elder brother Duan, don't worry, Luoyu understands. Wang Luoyu hurriedly nodded. She trusted and had a good impression of the young man in front of her. If it was someone else, even if they received benefits from her brother, they wouldn't really fulfill their promise. After all, it was just a verbal promise. Furthermore, it was the promise of a person who was about to die. Without a third person present, even if he didn't fulfill the promise, no one would know. However, the person in front of her didn't do that. This was enough to prove that the person in front of her was someone who kept his promise and was trustworthy. After receiving Wang Luoyu's consent, Duan Lingtian nodded. Later, you will act as if you've hit it off with me at first sight, and that we get along very well. Let them think that you also admire me, and that it isn't my wishful thinking. Then, I will take the opportunity to propose marriage to the Wang family. After that, we have two choices. 1. We can postpone the wedding date and leave the Wang family and Lan Xiaoqing before the wedding date to bring you out of the Wang family's control. 2. We can hold the wedding as usual. Of course, you and I both know that it's just a fake wedding. The one you're marrying is Li Feng and not me, Duan Lingtian. The first choice isn't risky, but we will fall out with the Wang family. The second choice is almost free of risk. After the wedding, we can use the excuse of going out to relax and never return. Under such circumstances, the Wang family won't be able to guess that my purpose of coming to the Wang family is to bring you out of the Wang family's control. At this point, Duan Lingtian paused and said, no matter what choice you make, I will cooperate with you. Obviously, Duan Lingtian had given Wang Luoyu the power to choose. When Wang Luoyu heard this, she pondered for a moment before speaking again. Elder brother Duan, I choose the second choice. We will fake the wedding and then leave the Wang family as usual. I don't want the people in the Wang family who care about me to worry. In the end, Wang Luoyu also explained the reason for her decision. You don't have to explain too much. I've said before that no matter what choice you make, I will cooperate with you. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. This is also my promise to your brother. Now, I will send you out. As for how you're going to behave, that's up to you. I can see that you and your brother are both smart people. As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian stood up and led Wang Luoyu out of the courtyard. As the courtyard was isolated by a soundproof formation and was under Duan Lingtian's control, Duan Lingtian was not worried that someone would eavesdrop on his conversation with Wang Luoyu. Moreover, with his current abilities, even the two Wang family's supreme elders who were close to being invincible high-level ultimate gods would not be able to eavesdrop on his conversation without anyone noticing, let alone Wang Kuei, the Wang family's clan leader. Outside, when the Wang clan's patriarch, Wang Kuei, saw Duan Lingtian and Wang Luoyu walk out side by side, and Duan Lingtian had a brilliant smile on his face, and Wang Luoyu had her head lowered in embarrassment. His face revealed a brilliant smile as well. Based on the current situation, Wang Luoyu was obviously interested in this young genius. When Elder Wang Ming saw this scene, his worried expression eased up a little. Follow Elder Wang Ming back first. I have something to discuss with clan leader Wang. Duan Lingtian looked at Wang Luoyu beside him and said gently. Wang Luoyu nodded lightly. Yes, big brotherly, then. She left Duan Lingtian's side with a blush on her face and walked toward Wang Ming. Her bashful appearance caused the gloomy expression on Wang Ming's face to disappear completely. It seemed that Wang Luoyu not only did not reject this young genius, but she also seemed to have feelings for him. After Wang Ming left with Wang Luoyu, Duan Lingtian looked at Wang Kuei, the Wang family's clan leader, and said with a startled expression, Clan leader Wang, today, I formally propose marriage to the Wang family. I want to marry Wang Luoyu in a month's time. I'll have to trouble clan leader Wang to inform all the guests in this month's time. At that time, I want to give Luoyu a proper wedding. Before that, I'm willing to follow the process of becoming a guest elder of the Wang family and become a guest elder of the Wang family. Wang Kuei did not expect Duan Lingtian to say this. He did not expect him to be so anxious to marry Wang Luoyu after seeing her. However, when he thought of Wang Luoyu's shy expression, he faintly realized that the two of them might have taken a liking to each other. Otherwise, they would not have acted like this. Of course, this was undoubtedly a joyous occasion for the Wang family. Haha, brotherly Feng, you can count on me. In a month's time, the Wang family will arrange your wedding properly. Also, I'd like to congratulate brotherly Feng in advance for bringing home the beauty. The smile on Wang Kuei's face was as radiant as it could be. From this day onward, the Wang family would have another person who was close to being an invincible higher-level supreme god. Moreover, this person was not even 10,000 years old and already had the ability of an invincible higher-level supreme god. Such a monstrous existence had never appeared in the history of the heavenly sand realm. This time, our Wang family will once again become the center of attention. At this moment, Wang Kuei was extremely excited. When the time comes, I'll also send wedding invitations to the few supreme experts who were on good terms with our Wang family ancestors. Even if only one of them comes in the end, it will still be a great thing for our Wang family. With the help of supreme experts and a young and monstrous guest elder like Li Feng, why should our Wang family worry about not being able to restore our glory in the future? On the other side, when Wang Luoyu returned and saw Yi Qiangwei again, she couldn't hide the smile on her face. Big sister Qiangwei, you shouldn't leave for the time being. I'm going to marry Big Brother Li in a month's time. At that time, Uncle Yi will definitely come as well. You should wait until my wedding with Big Brother Li is over before returning with Uncle Yi. Yi Qiangwei was stunned when she heard Yi Qiangwei's words. What the hell? Who could tell her what was going on? Sister Luoyu, you. Yi Qiangwei's mind was filled with question marks. She could not understand what Wang Luoyu had experienced and why there was such a huge change in her. Chapter 44:21. Yi Qiangwei could not wrap her head around this. Was this really her sister Luoyu? Sister Qiangwei. As for Wang Luoyu, she also saw Yi Qiangwei's shock. She smiled slightly and said, Previously, before I went to see Big Brother Li, my heart was indeed filled with unwillingness. I even lamented that I was unable to control my own fate. But, after I saw Brother Li and chatted with him for almost an hour, I felt as though I had met a soulmate. Even though it's a little hard to believe, but I really did develop a good impression of Big Brother Li in just a short hour. I even look forward to being with him. As she spoke, Wang Luoyu's face was filled with infatuation. Yi Qiangwei could only frown, although she felt that something was not quite right. The Wang Luoyu before her was poles apart from the Wang Luoyu she knew. She did not seem like a person at all, however. When she scanned with her divine perception, she could confirm that the Wang Luoyu before her was the Wang Luoyu she knew and not someone in disguise. Granny. As Wang Luoyu spoke, the old woman, who was standing nearby, took out a disc array and activated layers of arrays, enveloping the courtyard they were in. Miss, right now, even the two grand elders of the Wang clan wouldn't be able to hear a single sound from here without me noticing, the old woman said to Yi Qiangwei. Yi Qiangwei's expression turned serious immediately. She looked at Wang Luoyu, her eyes filled with worry and unconcealable anger. Sister Luoyu, They must have forced you. You didn't want me to worry and asked me to help you. You were afraid of implicating my father, right? Now, no one in the Wang family will know about our conversation. You don't have to pretend to be fine and deceive me anymore, Yi Qiangwei said. Obviously, she did not think that Wang Luoyu's words were sincere. She thought that Wang Luoyu said that on purpose so that she would not worry. Sister Qiangwei. Wang Luoyu took 2 steps forward and held Yi Qiangwei's hand. She still had a sincere smile on her face. I was really not forced, Brother Li. I do have a good impression of him. Furthermore, even though we've only met for a short while, I can tell that he's someone worth trusting. At the very least, he's much stronger than those aristocratic descendants. Big Sister Rose, when you meet Big Brother Li, you'll naturally understand why I said this. He's really not someone those hedonistic sons of aristocratic families can compare to. As she finished speaking, the infatuated smile of a young girl in love once again appeared on Wang Luoyu's face, causing Yi Qiangwei to fall silent. Even now, Wang Luoyu was still acting like this. She couldn't help but question her own judgment. Sister Rose. Wang Luoyu smiled again and said, You must want me to be happy, right? Of course. Yi Qiangwei nodded. If you can really marry the man of your dreams, Big Sister Qiangwei will give you my blessings from the bottom of my heart. But if you don't want to, Big Sister Qiangwei will do her best to help you. No matter how difficult it is, I will help you. Yi Qiangwei spoke very seriously, and these were her heartfelt words, without a hint of falsehood. Wang Luoyu naturally knew this as well. So, in the depths of her heart, besides feeling touched, she also felt a little guilty. Yi Qiangwei could be said to be the person closest to her after the death of her brother Wang Yuan. Regarding her and that elder brother Duan, even if she were to tell her, she wouldn't tell on them. But since she had promised that elder brother Duan not to let anyone know about this matter, she naturally couldn't go back on her words. After all, the one who knew and understood Yi Qiangwei was her, and not that elder brother Duan. She trusted this big sister Rose of hers, but that elder brother Duan might not. Big Sister Rose, don't worry, I really didn't force you. 1 month later, it'll be my wedding day with Big Brother Li. At that time, I still want you to help me dress up, Wang Luoyu said with a smile. When Yi Qiangwei heard this, a trace of gentleness flashed across her eyes. Little Sister Luoyu, of course I have to personally help you dress up. I'm really curious, what kind of man can make you fall in love at first sight? Big Sister Rose, if you want to see him, I'll see him in 2 days' time and ask if it's convenient for him to see you. If it's convenient, I'll arrange for the 2 of you to meet, Wang Luoyu said with a smile. Of course, her words were perfunctory. That elder brother Duan had come to the Wang family in Blue Dawn City to save her because of her brother Wang Yuan's dying wish. It was already commendable for him to go to this extent, so how could she trouble him and ask for his help? She, Wang Luoyu, was not an insatiable person. After the Wang family patriarch, Wang Kuei, left the family's spatial artifact, he naturally heard about the news from Dancing Sun City and Kanglan City. Although he knew about these 2 matters, he didn't pay much attention to them. He also didn't think that these 2 matters had anything to do with the Wang family's interaction with that freak, Li Feng. As for the matter of the Ming family from Kanglan City coming to propose marriage and being rejected, he didn't take it to heart. Or rather, he didn't remember anyone from the Ming family coming to propose marriage. In the past, the Ming family was only a second-rate family in Kanglan City. Although their status was on par with the Wang family in Blue Dawn City, the Wang family had once produced an ultimate powerhouse and had a deep foundation that the Ming family, which had never produced an ultimate powerhouse, could not compare to. Under such circumstances, the Wang family from Blue Dawn City had a sense of superiority when facing the Ming family from Kanglan City. Because of this, the Wang family did not take the Ming family's proposal seriously at all. In fact, the Wang family patriarch, Wang Kuei, did not even personally receive the Ming family's representative. He just casually sent a Wang family elder to send the representative away. In the Wang family's eyes, even if they wanted to use Wang Luoyu for a marriage alliance, they would not find a family that was not as good as the Wang family. Only those who were currently more powerful than the Wang family would be valued by the Wang family. Some of those with noble statuses would even be personally received by the Wang family patriarch, Wang Kuei. However, this did not include the direct descendant of the Ming family from Kanglan City, Ming Yuzheng. After waiting for more than half a month, the Ming family from Kanglan City finally saw the return of the Ming family's ancestor who had left to become an ultimate powerhouse. The moment the old man in a loose green robe appeared in the sky above Kanglan City, he was welcomed by the other ultimate powerhouses of Kanglan City. Brother Ming, congratulations. Haha, old Brother Ming, congratulations on becoming an ultimate powerhouse. Old Brother Ming, you're the first person in the history of the Ming family to become an ultimate powerhouse. In the future, your name will go down in history and you'll be revered by the future generations of the Ming family. The few ultimate powerhouses from the first-rate families of Kanglan City who had come were all very familiar and polite to the green-robed old man in front of them. They knew the old man's previous strength. He was definitely not weaker than them before becoming an ultimate powerhouse. Now, although the old man had just become an ultimate powerhouse, his strength was not necessarily weaker than them who had not improved after becoming an ultimate powerhouse. In the face of such an existence, they naturally could not ignore him or even look down on him like they did before he became an ultimate powerhouse. Thank you, everyone. The green-robed old man's face was flushed red at this moment. When he saw the polite people in front of him, there was an indescribable excitement in the depths of his eyes. In the past, although he was only one step away from becoming an ultimate powerhouse, he was not an ultimate powerhouse after all. The difference between him and the people in front of him was like heaven and earth. He even had to look up to them. Now that he had become an ultimate powerhouse, he could be on equal footing with them. According to tradition, the Ming family he was in would also be promoted to a first-rate family in Kanglan City. Old Brother Ming, since the Ming family has produced an ultimate powerhouse like you, then, from now on, the Ming family will also become a first-rate family in our Kanglan City. Before Old Brother Ming returned, we've already ceded some properties and handed them over to the Ming family. The current patriarch of the Ming family will personally take over. If Old Brother Ming feels that it's not enough, we can discuss it again. While the Ming family patriarch was receiving the ultimate powerhouses in Kanglan City, a group of people in the Ming family, including Ming Yuzheng, were eagerly waiting for the Ming family patriarch's return. There was a commotion just now. The patriarch should be back. The people who appeared just now seemed to be the supreme powerhouses of our Kanglan City. They came out together to welcome the patriarch. It's definitely not appropriate for us to go over directly now. It's better for us to wait for the patriarch's return in the family. Ming Yuzheng stood among the group of people in the Ming family. His eyes revealed a hint of viciousness. That Lanshao City's Wang family not only rejected my marriage proposal, but also the Ming family's marriage proposal. They actually dared to send an invitation to the Ming family to participate in Wang Luoyu's wedding with someone else? They're going too far. When the patriarch returns, I'll definitely make him avenge me. Wang Luoyu. Even if the Wang family has betrothed you to someone else, even if the Wang family is already preparing for your wedding, you're still mine. Your Wang family might have supreme powerhouses aiding you in the future. However, would those people help you? A descendant of the Wang family from a branch family who joined the main family and has a lowly bloodline? What a joke. Chapter 4422. Within Lanshao City. Originally, it was filled with news from afar about the annihilation of the 5 major clans of Dancing Sun City, the fall of an ultimate powerhouse, the destruction of Dancing Sun City, and the appearance of a new ultimate powerhouse in Kanglan City. However, recently, these 2 shocking pieces of news were suppressed by another piece of news. This piece of news was that the Wang clan of Lanshao City would be holding a wedding in half a month's time. In fact, this piece of news had spread half a month ago. However, even after half a month, the news did not die down. Instead, it became more and more lively as the wedding approached. This time, it said that the Wang clan is marrying off their daughter to a young genius from outside the Tiansha region. As for whether he has a strong background, it's unknown. That young genius must be extraordinary to be able to make the Wang clan marry off Wang Luoyu. That's right. The Wang clan has always been a person who won't act unless there's an incentive. It's almost impossible for them to do a losing business. The wedding is in half a month's time. At that time, there will be many clans from the dozens of major cities in the Tiansha region who will send people over. Also, many of the forces in the wilderness will have received the Wang clan's invitation. I wonder if the Wang clan's ancestors' influence will be able to invite an ultimate powerhouse. If an ultimate powerhouse really comes, it will definitely cause a chain reaction. There will be other ultimate powerhouses coming as well. If that's the case, it'll be really lively. Everyone in Lanshao City was discussing the mysterious son-in-law of the Wang clan who came from outside the Tiansha region. They were curious about where he came from and how talented he was to be able to make the Wang clan willingly marry off Wang Luoyu, who was known as the most beautiful woman in Lanshao City. Duan Lingtian, who occasionally walked out of the Wang clan, naturally saw and heard the commotion in Lanshao City. However, his thoughts were not here. Instead, he wanted to know more about the Wang clan in Lanshao City. In the process, he also learned a lot about the 4 first-rate clans in Lanshao City. The 4 first-rate clans in Lanshao City all had ultimate powerhouses in their current generation. They were also the most powerful clans in Lanshao City. They were actually against the Wang clan, but because the Wang clan still had some connections with some supreme experts in the outside world, they were still polite to the Wang clan on the surface. For example, the Wang family's wedding banquet in half a month's time might not be attended by the family heads of the first-class families in other cities, but the 4 major families in Lanshao City definitely had family heads there. Even if the clan head didn't come, the Great Elder, whose status wasn't much lower than the clan head, would come. In Lanshao City, the 4 first-rate families still gave face to the Wang family on the surface. As the saying goes, the predecessor plants the tree, and the successor enjoys the shade. The Wang clan had a supreme expert in the past. Even though the supreme expert is no longer around, he still brought them all kinds of benefits. In Lanshao City, most of the industries were in the hands of the 4 first-rate families. Below them, the one who controlled the most assets was the Wang family. It was to the point that the Wang clan controlled more than twice the amount of the other second-rate clans. This showed the Wang family's foundation in Lanshao City. Humph! I don't know what kind of bewitching potion the Wang family had, Wang Kuei, ate to actually betroth Wang Luoyu to him. Within the Tiansha region, there are young geniuses who are more outstanding than him. I don't even know how many there are. If you ask me, if that kid goes up against you, young master, I'm afraid he'll be defeated by you in less than 3 moves. Duan Ling Tian slowly walked past a large street. On the street that was filled with people, a master and servant walked past, and the conversation between the two entered into Duan Ling Tian's ears. Hearing that, Duan Ling Tian was startled at first, but then he shook his head and smiled. He didn't take it seriously. Looks like the Wang clan has done a good job of keeping my information a secret. At least, they didn't tell anyone that my strength is close to that of an invincible high-level supreme god. Previously, Duan Lingtian had no idea of his current strength. It wasn't until recently that he had a better understanding of the outside world that he realized how shocking the strength he displayed at the age of less than 10,000 years old was. Of course, across the 10,000 worlds and the outside world, there were such geniuses. However, without exception, they were all well-known figures. Although they were still young and had not stepped into the realm of an invincible high-level supreme god or become an ultimate expert, they were already more famous than many of the older generation experts who were close to becoming an invincible high-level supreme god. All of this was because they were younger. Youth represented limitless possibilities. For example, with Duan Lingtian's current strength, if he was already past his prime and had even been injured when facing the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation, then who would think that he had a chance to become an invincible high-level supreme god or even an ultimate expert? Although becoming an ultimate expert did not necessarily require one to pass the threshold of an invincible high-level supreme god, that kind of existence almost had no hope of becoming an ultimate expert in their lifetime. They were too old. If they could really break through, they wouldn't have to wait until then. For existences at that age, unless they had some special encounter, breaking through was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. There are also differences in strength among those who have just entered the ultimate expert realm. After coming to the outside world, Duan Lingtian not only understood many things about the outside world, but he also understood many things about the later part of his cultivation journey. There were those who had just entered the ultimate expert realm who were close to becoming an invincible high-level supreme god, and those who were close to becoming an ultimate expert, and those who were close to becoming an ultimate expert. The former, even if they had just entered the ultimate realm, was stronger than an invincible high-level supreme god. However, the latter, even if they had just entered the ultimate realm, was far stronger than the former. They were both ultimate experts who had just entered the ultimate realm. However, the strength of an invincible high-level supreme god was so strong that they were considered very strong even among the ultimate experts. Some high-level supreme gods who had not experienced the stage of being an invincible high-level supreme god and had been in the ultimate realm for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years might not be comparable to an invincible high-level supreme god who had just entered the ultimate realm. Becoming an invincible high-level supreme god depends more on talent and comprehension. I have 2 ultimate expert godhoods as support, so it's not impossible for me to become an invincible high-level supreme god. Of course, the ultimate expert godhoods can only be used as support. In the outside world, there may be fewer ultimate expert godhoods, but they are definitely not fewer than an invincible high-level supreme god. This also means that even with the ultimate expert godhoods, one may not necessarily be able to become an invincible high-level supreme god. Although Duan Lingtian had the ultimate expert godhoods in his hands, he did not blindly believe that he would definitely become an invincible high-level supreme god with the help of the ultimate expert godhoods. If it was so easy to become an invincible high-level supreme god, it would not be that the number of invincible high-level supreme gods in the outside world, and even in the infinite worlds, was less than the number of ultimate experts. This was something that had shocked Duan Lingtian for a long time. According to many people's investigations, the number of invincible high-level supreme gods in the outside world, and even in the infinite worlds, was less than 1/10 of the ultimate experts. This was terrifying. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to become an invincible high-level supreme god. It's said that there are some people who clearly have the confidence to become an ultimate expert, but they suppress their breakthrough. They want to become an ultimate expert after becoming an invincible high-level supreme god. Some people say that after becoming an ultimate expert, cultivation is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It's extremely difficult to increase one's strength after that. Therefore, if one becomes an invincible high-level supreme god before breaking through to become an ultimate expert, one can be considered one of the best among the ultimate experts after becoming an ultimate expert. Some people also say that as long as one's lifespan is still long and one is still young, it's best to try and become an invincible high-level supreme god. To a certain extent, becoming an invincible high-level supreme god gives one a greater sense of accomplishment than becoming an ultimate expert. Invincible high-level supreme gods are also the targets that all the ultimate experts fight to win over. Once an invincible high-level supreme god becomes an ultimate expert, they will be the strongest among the ultimate experts. Even if they don't become an ultimate expert, they will still have the ability to be invincible among those below the ultimate expert level. There are many fortuitous encounters in the outer realms. There are some places with amazing fortuitous encounters that even supreme masters can't enter. Even if there are treasures that even supreme masters would covet, they can only look at them and can't take them. Under such circumstances, if only those below the ultimate expert level enter, an invincible high-level supreme god will undoubtedly have a great advantage. Many ultimate experts try to win over an invincible high-level supreme god because of this. Invincible high-level supreme god. Unknowingly, these words seem to have taken root in Duan Lingtian's mind. It was as though there was a voice constantly reminding him that even if he had the opportunity to become an ultimate expert in the future, it was best to suppress his cultivation base and try to become an ultimate expert after becoming an invincible high-level supreme god. Yun Qing Yin has merged with the Bai Hun clan and has the ability of an ultimate expert. However, according to the Xia clan's ultimate expert ancestor, he should only be an ordinary ultimate expert. If I rashly enter the ultimate realm before becoming an invincible high-level supreme god, even if I meet him, I might not be stronger than him. If I'm not stronger than him, I won't be able to suppress him and force him to release Ker's soul imprisonment power. Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn when he thought about his wife, Ker. He naturally hadn't forgotten his original intention for coming to the outer dimension this time. It was to save his wife, Ker. Of course, even if I become an invincible higher ultimate god, it will still take some time for me to enter the ultimate realm. However, as long as I become an invincible higher ultimate god, there will be a ultimate realm expert who will extend an olive branch to me. At that time, I will be able to negotiate with the other party and ask them to help me find that person and force him to release Ku'er's soul shackles. If that's the case, I'll be able to save Ku'er before I become an omnipotent. Also, if it's an extremely powerful ultimate powerhouse who is considered a top existence among the ultimate powerhouses of the 10,000 realms, or even the ultimate powerhouses of the outer realms, they might be able to help Ku'er break the seal on her soul. During this period of time in the outer realm, I've learned more about the Bai Hun clan. Those who are stronger than them by a certain level can also forcefully release their soul imprisonment power. For example, even if it's an invincible high-level supreme god from the Bai Hun clan, any ultimate expert can easily remove the soul imprisonment power from their soul imprisonment power. Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he thought about this. Unknowingly, he clenched his fists tightly. I, Duan Lingtian, I must become an invincible high-level supreme god. Compared to becoming an invincible high-level supreme god without becoming an invincible high-level supreme god, he was more confident that he could save his wife, Ker. Chapter 44-23. Invincible Upper-Level Ultimate God. I must become an invincible upper-level ultimate god. This thought lingered in Duan Lingtian's mind for a long time, as though he was possessed. At the same time, he stood on the side of the street as though his acupoints had been sealed. The sudden action of a handsome young man with an extraordinary temperament naturally attracted the attention of many passers-by. However, no one disturbed Duan Lingtian. From their point of view, this young man was either rich or noble. Now that he was standing there in a daze, it could be that he had some enlightenment and cultivation, or even had an epiphany. At this time, if they rashly disturbed him, it was very likely that they would become enemies. The best thing to do was to observe or pretend that they did not see anything. Unknowingly, a young woman walked slowly from the end of the street with an old woman. Granny, do you think Luoyu is really willing? Even though it had been half a month since Wang Luoyu said that she was willing to marry that man, Yi Changwei was still unwilling to believe that Wang Luoyu was willing to marry that man. Mississippi, the old woman heard and sighed. She naturally knew what her miss was thinking. After all, she had watched Yi Changwei grow up. Do you think this is still important? Judging from Miss Luoyu's state in the past half a month, there is no abnormality. This also means that either what she said is true and she is willing to marry that man, or what she said is false. Either that, or what she said was false. But since she's so stubborn, it means that she's already mentally prepared and made a decision. Although I don't know Miss Luoyu as well as you do, I can see that she is the kind of person who looks weak but has a strong heart. What you can do now is to follow her wishes and not create unnecessary problems. Otherwise, her efforts will go to waste. The old woman said. Yi Changwei was silent when she heard the old woman's words. She walked in silence for a while with a confused look in her eyes. Suddenly, a figure appeared in her empty eyes. Immediately, her originally unfocused eyes focused again. It's him. With just a glance, Yi Changwei recognized the young man who stood motionlessly by the side of the road like a statue. He was the mysterious young man who had saved her on the way to Blue Dawn City. Back then, when he had parted ways with the Wang clan, he was still thinking of using his connections with the Wang clan to investigate the other party's whereabouts and background. However, what happened to her sister, Wang Luoyu, caused her to completely forget about looking for her. Even if she occasionally thought about it, she didn't pay much attention to it. Who would have thought that they would meet again here? Miss, it's that benefactor. At the same time that Yi Changwei discovered Duan Lingtian, the old woman behind her also discovered Duan Lingtian. In addition to gratitude, there was also some respect in her eyes. After all, although the other party was young, he was an existence that was more powerful than him. He was suspected to be an existence close to the invincible high-level ultimate god. He was less than 10,000 years old, but he was suspected to be close to the invincible high-level ultimate god level. Throughout the history of the Tiansha territory, he had never seen or heard of such a person. He can't be experiencing an epiphany on the street, right? Soon, Yi Qiangwei discovered that the other party's condition was not right. As for the old woman behind her, she moved almost at the instant her words left her mouth. In the blink of an eye, she arrived near the young man. She stood there, and without alarming the young man, she vigilantly surveyed her surroundings. Her chi was also locked down on the area within a circumference of 100 meters. If there was any movement that was unfavorable to the young man, she would be the first to discover it and intervene. Although she was not very familiar with the young man, half a month ago, if it were not for his help, she would have died in the hands of the experts from the Blood Sea organization, and her miss would have been taken away. Although the other party had no intention of asking them to repay his kindness, she remembered it in her heart. Now, seeing that the other party seemed to have entered a certain state, her first thought was to protect the other party so that no one would disturb him. Although she wasn't sure what the other party's situation was, she believed that her actions would only benefit the other party. Yi Qiangwei also reacted in the next moment. She quickly moved to the other side of Duan Lingtian and protected the Duan Lingtian with the old woman. At that moment, Duan Lingtian naturally did not know what the two of them were doing. Although he seemed to be in a daze as though his soul had left his body, it was only because he was not in any danger. Otherwise, he would have regained his senses immediately. Currently, his mind was filled with the crazy thought of becoming an invincible higher ultimate god. As a result, his mind was in a mess and he could not calm down. However, this state did not last for long before it was suppressed by him. When he had completely calmed down, he opened his eyes and saw the master and servant who were protecting him. A hint of gentleness flashed in his eyes. He could tell what the two of them were doing. Although he knew he did not need them to do this, he also knew the two of them could not possibly understand his state earlier. They might have thought he was experiencing an epiphany and were guarding him vigilantly. No matter what, based on his character, he was destined to accept this favor. Thank you, both of you. Duan Lingtian thanked the two in front of him and cupped his hands slightly. His expression was solemn. You're awake? Yi Qiangwei's expression softened. The young man in front of her was obviously different from the heartless he was when they parted ways previously. It was obvious he was enlightened by her and her mother-in-law's actions. At that moment, the old woman also regained her senses and sighed. I thought you were comprehending something, but I didn't expect you were just in a daze. My lady and I were worried for nothing. At that moment, the old woman also sensed from Duan Lingtian's faint aura when he regained his senses that the young man in front of her was also vigilant of his surroundings. Moreover, he was not comprehending anything. He was just in a daze. Under such circumstances, the young man had the ability to protect himself. No matter what, I still have to thank both of you. Duan Lingtian responded with a smile. His attitude was gentle, completely different from when he was facing Yi Qiangwei earlier. Then, at that moment, Yi Qiangwei's eyes turned. Now, can you tell me? What's your name? When Duan Lingtian heard this, he was slightly stunned. Then, he shook his head and smiled. There's nothing that can't be said. Misty, my name is Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian did not know that the Ye family's Miss Yi Qiangwei and Wang Luoyu from the Wang family were best friends who could talk about anything. If he knew, perhaps he would consider if he should tell her his real name. Of course, the current him was indebted to Yi Qiangwei and her servant for protecting him, so he did not conceal his true identity. Duan Lingtian. Yi Qiangwei silently remembered this name in her heart. At the same time, a smile bloomed on her face. Elder brother Duan, is the family or sect behind you from the outer realm or the three great realms? Obviously, Yi Qiangwei was still curious about Duan Lingtian's origin. Neither. Duan Lingtian shook his head. The realm I'm in is one of the 18 realms below the three great realms. What? The moment Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, not only was Yi Qiangwei stunned, but even the old woman turned pale with fright. The 18 realms that were inferior to the 3 great realms actually gave birth to such a monstrous existence. Chapter 44:24. Although Duan Lingtian had mentioned his background, he did not elaborate further. He even said all this because Yi Qiangwei and the old woman had protected him earlier, and he owed them a favor. Otherwise, he wouldn't even bother to tell them his name, let alone his origin. Of course, even if he did not elaborate on his background, both Yi Qiangwei and the old woman were shocked when they heard that Duan Lingtian came from the 10,000 worlds, and was not from one of the 3 great worlds that stood at the peak of the 10,000 worlds. Perhaps he has the bloodline of a supreme expert, and that super expert just so happened to have stayed in his home domain and left behind a descendant there. Yi Qiangwei and the old woman looked at each other. When Yi Qiangwei communicated with the old woman, she said that she could not understand, and the old woman made such a guess. This guess was quickly approved by Yi Qiangwei. Other than this, she really could not think of any other possibility. Young Master Duan, do you have anything to do in Blue Dawn City? Yi Qiangwei was a little reserved in front of Duan Lingtian, so she could only let the old woman ask Duan Lingtian on her behalf. Duan Lingtian nodded when he heard the old woman's question. I do have something to do. However, it's almost done, and I'll leave this place when the time comes. Duan Lingtian exchanged a few more pleasantries with the old woman, then nodded to Yi Qiangwei and turned to leave. Yi Qiangwei brought the old woman and looked at Duan Lingtian's back view from afar. Her gaze was especially complicated. Even she did not know why, but she had an inexplicable feeling toward this young man with a mysterious background and monstrous talent. She only felt that he was completely different from the young talents she had met before. In front of him, the young talents she had met before were not even worth mentioning. Mississippi at this moment, the old woman seemed to have vaguely seen through Yi Qiangwei's thoughts, and she sighed. You and him are people from 2 different worlds. Perhaps her family's young miss had yet to develop feelings of admiration for that young Master Duan. However, she was definitely filled with admiration and curiosity. And this was often the beginning of a woman's downfall. She, too, had been young once. She knew very well that women of this age were easily muddle-headed and even one-track-minded. Granny, what are you saying? Yi Qiangwei's cheeks reddened as her thoughts were exposed. I don't like him. I just feel that he's different from other men. I believe what Miss said. The old woman nodded. What I said just now was just to remind Miss. Don't be curious about him. Just treat him as a passerby in your life. Perhaps, after he leaves Lanshao City in half a month's time, the 2 of you will never meet again. Duan Lingtian was naturally unaware of the conversation between Yi Qiangwei and the old woman after he left. After he left, he wandered around Lan Xiaoqing for a while before returning to the Wang family. He returned to the VIP courtyard that the Wang family had arranged for him. For the next period of time, he did not plan to go out again. He just wanted to wait for the wedding day to arrive. At that time, he and Wang Luoyu would finish their act and leave with Wang Luoyu. After settling Wang Luoyu down, he could continue to pursue his goal. In the past, his goal had only been to grow stronger and find the supreme expert from the succubus clan who had merged with Yun Qingyan. At the same time, he was worried that he would not be able to do anything to the supreme expert from the succubus clan. Now, his goal was to become an invincible higher ultimate god. As long as he became an invincible higher ultimate god, he would be valued by the ultimate experts. At that time, he would choose a powerful ultimate expert to work for him. Perhaps he would be able to get the ultimate expert to save Kerr. However, Duan Lingtian wanted to wait quietly for the wedding day, but there were people who would not let him wait. On this day, the Wang family welcomed 2 uninvited guests. These 2 people were from the Ming clan of Zhonglan City that had been the talk of the town recently. The Ming family of Kanglan City was frequently mentioned and discussed because an ultimate expert had recently appeared in the Ming family of Kanglan City. Moreover, it was the first ultimate expert in the history of the Ming family. Everyone was talking about how the Ming family was going to rise to prominence this time. Young Master Ming, please come in. I have informed the patriarch, and he is waiting for you in the reception hall. Outside the Wang family mansion, One of the Wang family elders who had been in charge of accumulating power respectfully led a young man and a middle-aged man through the main gate into the Wang family mansion. The young man was none other than Meng Yuzheng, a direct descendant of the Meng family of Kanglan City. In fact, this was not Meng Yuzheng's first visit to the Wang family mansion. Not long ago, he had visited the Wang family mansion, but he had not received such preferential treatment at that time. At that time, he had not even met the patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Kuei, before he was dealt with. However, today, he was being treated differently when he visited the Wang family mansion again. This was because an ultimate expert had appeared in the Wang family mansion. He believed that if he told the Wang family that the ultimate expert was the patriarch of the Wang family mansion and loved him dearly, it could be said that he was the Wang family mansion's most beloved descendant. The patriarch of the Wang family mansion, Wang Kuei, would definitely not just wait for him in the reception hall. He would definitely come out to welcome him personally. Young Master Ming, you must be here to represent the Ming family and attend our Wang family's wedding in 10 days, right? Young Master Ming, you are early. In the next 10 days, I will arrange for you to walk around the Lanshao city. All your expenses will be paid by the Wang family. The patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Kuei, was very polite when he faced Meng Yuzheng in the reception hall. Now, he was certain that Meng Yuzheng was here on behalf of the Meng family of Kanglan City. Under such circumstances, he naturally did not dare to neglect this representative of the Wang family. After all, the Meng family of Kanglan City was no longer the same as before. The Meng family, which had produced an ultimate expert, had risen in status. At least within the Tiansha region, they were above the Wang family of Kanglan City. He was not worried that Meng Yuzheng would spend recklessly after he said that the Wang family would pay for his expenses in the Lanshao city. He was giving face to Meng Yuzheng and the Meng family of Kanglan City. If Meng Yuzheng were to act recklessly, not only would he be humiliated, but the Meng family of Kanglan City would be humiliated as well. He did not think that someone who was sent as a representative by the Meng family of Kanglan City would act recklessly. Therefore, when he said these words, he was very casual and did not have the slightest hesitation. When Meng Yuzheng heard Wang Kuei's words, he was first stunned. Then, his expression turned cold. Patriarch Wang, what do you mean by this? Are you humiliating me, Meng Yuzheng? Meng Yuzheng's expression changed instantly. His tone was unfriendly as he questioned loudly. Chapter 44-25. Are you humiliating me, Meng Yuzheng? Wang Kuei was stunned by Meng Yuzheng's words. He did not know why this brat from the Meng family in Kanglan City had suddenly changed his attitude. He was still polite a moment ago, but in the next moment, it was as if he had a blood feud with him. Young Master Meng, why do you say that? Wang Kuei was the head of the Wang family after all. Although he did not understand Meng Yuzheng's sudden change in attitude, he quickly recovered and asked in a low voice, "Did you misunderstand something?" At the same time, Wang Kuei recalled his previous words. There did not seem to be anything wrong. It was also because of this that he did not know this brat from the Meng family. What the hell was wrong with him? Did he really think that the Meng family could completely disregard the Wang family just because they had produced the first ultimate powerhouse in history? Did he think that a brat from the Meng family could disregard him, the head of the Wang family? Wang Kuei sneered in his heart. So what if the Meng family had produced an ultimate powerhouse? It was not as if the Wang family had never produced an ultimate powerhouse. To this day, the Wang family could still contact a few ultimate powerhouses who had close ties with their ancestors. If the Wang family was really in trouble, those few would definitely not stand by and do nothing. If not, how could the Wang family still stay in the inner city of Lanshao City and not be expelled by the other first-rate families? Misunderstanding? Meng Yuzheng sneered. I did not misunderstand. Head of the Wang family, when I came to the Wang family to ask for her hand in marriage, the head elder of the Wang family told me that Miss Wang Luoyu wanted to mourn for her brother for 100 years and had no intention of marrying anyone for 100 years. But now, I've heard that the Wang family is betrothing her to someone else. Are you treating me, Meng Yuzheng, like a monkey? Meng Yuzheng asked in a low voice. As he spoke, he was burning with anger. Of course, this was not an act. Meng Yuzheng was indeed furious when he thought of this. Even though back then, When he heard Wang family's great elder's words, he already knew that they were just half-hearted words, that the Wang family didn't think highly of him, didn't think highly of the Wang family that didn't have any supreme experts back then. However, now that he had enough confidence, even though he knew that the Wang clan was just being perfunctory, he still brought it up and used it as a starting point for his trip. As for the head of the Wang family, Wang Kuei, when he heard Meng Yuzhing's words, he was startled at first. Then, he realized that the person in front of him did not come with good intentions. For a moment, his expression darkened as he glared at Meng Yuzhing. He believed that Meng Yuzhing definitely knew that the grand elder of the Wang clan was just being perfunctory. Yet, he still brought up that matter now. He was undoubtedly trying to stir up trouble. Young Master Meng, if this is true, I will definitely severely punish our Wang clan's grand elder. As the head of the Wang clan, Wang Kuei was naturally not someone to be trifled with. Didn't you say that our Wang clan grand elder was just being perfunctory? Then I will punish him. As for whether he would be punished afterwards, that was another matter altogether. Could this little brat of the Wang clan continue to stay in the Wang clan to keep an eye on this matter? Moreover, even if this little brat really insisted on staying in the Wang clan, it would not be a big deal for the Wang clan to symbolically punish the grand elder. His words do not represent our Wang clan. Wang Kuei shook his head as he spoke. Meng Yuzhing frowned when he heard Wang Kuei's words. He did not expect that Wang Kuei would be able to bluff his way through such a good opening. The Wang clan grand elder did not represent the Wang clan? Punish the Wang clan grand elder? At this moment, he realized how difficult it was to deal with the head of the Wang clan. For a moment, he did not even know what to say. In the next instant, Meng Yuzhing took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "If that's the case, then the Wang clan should not have rejected my marriage proposal. Since Miss Wang Laoyu is not married yet, and no one knows who she is marrying, why don't we change the person Miss Wang Laoyu is marrying to me, Meng Yuzhing?" Meng Yuzhing looked at Wang Kuei and said bluntly. When Wang Kuei heard Meng Yuzhing's words, he could not help but be startled even though he was used to seeing all sorts of situations. He did not expect this little brat from the Ming clan to be so laughable. How could the person the Wang clan wanted Wang Luoyu to marry be an ordinary person? Did this little brat from the Wang clan think that he was more important than that young genius Li Feng in the eyes of the Wang clan? How laughable! At this moment, Wang Kuei laughed disdainfully in his heart. Even though he did not laugh out loud, his gaze when he looked at Meng Yuzhing again was filled with contempt. "Young Master Meng, this joke is a little too much. It's not funny at all." Wang Kuei was giving Meng Yuzhing face by saying this. If Meng Yuzhing did not want this face, then he did not mind falling out with him. Although the Ming clan had produced an ultimate powerhouse, in terms of foundation, they were still inferior to the Wang clan. Even the new ultimate powerhouse of the Ming clan would have to consider his gains and losses before making a move against the Wang clan. Moreover, the other party might not necessarily target the Wang clan for this little brat from the Ming clan. This little brat from the Ming clan might not even have a close relationship with that person. As the clan leader of the Wang clan, he knew very well that even if there was an ultimate powerhouse in the clan, he would not dote on every disciple and would even be willing to stand up for them. Clan leader Wang, I'm not joking. Meng Yuzhing smiled coldly. What I'm saying is not only my own opinion, but also my great-grandfather's opinion. Your great-grandfather? Wang Kuei frowned slightly. At the same time, an ominous feeling rose in his heart. Could it be the new ultimate powerhouse of the Ming clan? When he thought about Meng Yuzhing's strength, he vaguely had an answer in his heart. My great-grandfather is Meng Tianfeng. Meng Yuzhing enunciated each word clearly. When he finished speaking, his face was filled with arrogance as though he did not take Wang Kuei, the clan leader of the Wang clan, seriously. Meng Tianfeng. When Wang Kuei heard Meng Yuzhing's words, he knew he had guessed correctly. Among the younger generation of the Ming clan, my great-grandfather dotes on me the most. Before he broke through to the ultimate stage, he publicly announced that he would personally nurture me and make me the next clan leader of the Ming clan. This was where Meng Yuzhing's confidence came from. At this moment, Wang Kuei finally understood. It was no wonder Meng Yuzhing was so overbearing. As it turned out, he had the support of an ultimate powerhouse. When he thought about it, He who did not have the support of an ultimate powerhouse in the past could only leave dejectedly in the face of the Wang clan's grand elder's perfunctory attitude. This was because the Ming clan in the past could not be compared to the Wang clan in terms of status. However, now that the Ming clan had an ultimate powerhouse, their status in the Heavenly Sand region had already surpassed the Wang clan in one fell swoop. Of course, no one would think that the Ming clan had the ability to destroy the Wang clan just because they were more powerful than the Wang clan. This was because everyone knew that the Ming clan was not that stupid. After all, the Wang clan still had the various foundations left behind by the ultimate powerhouse in the past. Clan leader Wang, you won't disrespect my great-grandfather. The Wang clan won't disrespect him, right? Meng Yujing asked meaningfully as he looked deeply at Wang Kuei. When Wang Kuei heard this, he did not immediately respond. Instead, he looked at the person behind Meng Yujing. Although he did not know this person, he could feel that this was an ultimate powerhouse. At the very least, he was not weaker than him. This was not one of the few high-level ultimate gods in the Ming clan who were not weaker than him or even stronger than him. This was probably an ultimate powerhouse who had taken the initiative to join the Ming clan after the birth of an ultimate powerhouse. In the outer realm, after a high-level ultimate god broke through and became an omnipotent expert, there would be many powerful high-level ultimate gods, or even existences close to invincible high-level ultimate gods, who would be willing to take the initiative to become their subordinates and work for them. There were many benefits to this. First of all, they would no longer lack the divine power of an ultimate powerhouse. Secondly, they would have one more backer. As for ultimate powerhouses, after breaking through to the ultimate realm, they would usually take in a few subordinates at the beginning. Once the number of subordinates reached a certain level, they would not take in any more unless that person was outstanding enough, such as an invincible high-level ultimate god, or someone who had the potential to become an invincible high-level ultimate god. This kind of thing was usually best done as soon as possible. Wang Kuei guessed that this person behind Meng Yujing was probably the first batch of people to join the Ming clan after learning that the Wang clan had produced an ultimate powerhouse. He was definitely not weak. If Patriarch Wang is worried that I am a fox trying to intimidate others, you can ask this person behind me. This person was a famous independent cultivator expert in the Heavenly Sand territory. I believe Patriarch Wang has heard of him before. When Meng Yujing saw that Wang Kuei did not speak, he turned his head slightly and looked at the middle-aged man behind him. At the same time, he said respectfully, Uncle Tan, please prove to me that I am not lying. At this time, the middle-aged man who had been standing behind Meng Yujing with his eyes closed opened his eyes. A sharp blade light flashed in his eyes, giving people a strong sense of oppression. After the middle-aged man opened his eyes, he looked at Wang Kuei and cupped his hands slightly. He said loudly, Tan Xiaoding greets Patriarch Wang. Tan Xiaoding. Wang Kuei's pupil shrank sharply when he heard the middle-aged man's self-introduction. This person was a famous independent cultivator in the Heavenly Sand territory. Although his strength was not at the level of an invincible higher godly venerable, he was not far from it. At the very least, Wang Kuei had no confidence in winning against him. Unless he used some of the trump cards that had been passed down through the generations of patriarchs of the Wang family, it would be difficult for him to fight to a draw with the middle-aged man. So it's the Azure Flame Saber Monarch. I didn't recognize you earlier. My apologies. Wang Kuei was very polite to experts. In the entire Wang family, perhaps only the two grand elders dared to say that they could defeat the middle-aged man. Of course, in half a month, there would be a third person in the Wang family who had the ability to defeat the middle-aged man. It was the peerless genius who was about to become the son-in-law of the Wang family, Li Feng. Patriarch Wang. The Azure Flame Saber Monarch, Tan Xiaoding, smiled faintly. What young Master Meng Yujing said earlier was indeed the Supreme Lord's idea. I hope that Patriarch Wang and the Wang family will give the Supreme Lord face and betroth young Master Wang Luoyu to young Master Meng Yujing. In 10 days, young Master Meng Yujing and young Master Wang Luoyu will be married. As soon as he finished speaking, the saber light in Tan Xiaoding's eyes flashed even more fiercely. The reason he was called the Saber Monarch was because of his deep attainments in the Saber Dao of the Weapon Dao. In addition, he had a fortuitous encounter with the law of fire that caused his red flames to turn into azure flames, making him even more powerful. Therefore, he was called the Azure Flame Saber Monarch. Chapter 44:26. As the Azure Flame Saber King finished speaking, Meng Yuzheng, who was standing in front of him, once again looked at Wang Kuei with a smug look on his face. It was as if he was silently saying, "Now, do you believe what I said?" Wang Kuei, after hearing Tan Xiaoding's words, only frowned slightly and then smiled faintly. I really didn't expect the Azure Flame Saber King to submit to a newly ascended ultimate expert. How enviable. Wang Kuei's words were honest. Even someone as strong as the Azure Flame Saber King would not be accepted by an ultimate expert unless he submitted to one when one had just broken through. After all, not only was he not an invincible high-level supreme god, he was not even close to being one. Such an existence was only at the bottom of the hierarchy among the envoys of the ultimate experts. No matter how weak he was, the ultimate experts would not take a liking to him. Wang family leader, don't change the topic. Tan Xiaoding raised his eyebrows slightly. It was not difficult to see the smug look on his face, but he continued with the previous topic. If your Wang family's Miss Wang Luoyu can marry young Master Meng Yuzheng, it will only be good for your Wang family. Although I don't know who your Wang family is planning to marry Miss Wang Luoyu in half a month, but I heard that he is not from the Sky Sand realm. In terms of status, he is probably far inferior to young Master Meng Yuzheng. The Azure Flame Saber King kept raising Meng Yuzheng's status as he spoke. Wang Kuei's expression did not change when he heard the Azure Flame Saber King's words. Azure Flame Saber King, there are some things that our Wang family can't do as we please. That young Master Li Feng, our Wang clan has promised him. Since we've agreed, Wang Luoyu will naturally marry him. I hope that the Azure Flame Saber Monarch can properly discuss this with the person behind you when he returns. I think that person is also a sensible person, Wang Kuei said. Wang Kuei's words also indicated his intention to leave the stage. Wang Kuei. As Meng Yuzheng's expression changed drastically, Tan Xiaoding's tone also became colder. Are you saying this for yourself, or for the Wang family? Those two Grand Supreme Elders of your Wang clan. Can you represent them? You should know that, this time, it was his honor who asked me to accompany young Master Meng Yuzheng to marry Wang Luoyu from the Wang family. As Tan Xiaoding spoke, his tone was extremely unkind. On the other hand, Wang Kuei smiled faintly when he heard those words. Just a moment ago, I've already informed the two Supreme Elders. The two Supreme Elders also have the same intention. Therefore, what I have just said can be said to represent the entire Wang clan. In the Wang clan, the two Grand Elders who were close to invincible high-level ultimate gods were the strongest. Below them was the Wang clan's patriarch, Wang Kuei. The decision made by the three of them was enough to represent the entire Wang clan. No one in the Wang family would dare to disobey the three of them. After receiving Wang Kuei's response, Tan Xiaoding's expression became increasingly gloomy. As for Meng Yuzheng, who was in front of him, his expression had long darkened. His fists were tightly clenched together, and his gaze was fierce. He was like an enraged, ferocious beast that could attack at any time. In that case, Wang family is not giving face to his honor. Tan Xiaoding's voice became deeper and deeper. Azure Flame Saber King, the Wang clan has no intention of not giving face to the person behind you. Wang Kuei shook his head and said, however, everything has a first come, first served rule. If you had come a month earlier, even if you had appeared at the same time as young Master Li Feng, the Wang clan would still have prioritized betrothing Wang Luoyu to young Master Meng Yuzheng. However, it's a pity that you've come too late. Furthermore, our Wang clan has already set a date for young Master Li Feng and Wang Luoyu's wedding. The Wang clan will not change this matter. Unless, at this point, Wang Kuei paused for a moment before continuing jokingly, unless young Master Li Feng suddenly changes his mind and has no intention of marrying Wang Luoyu. If that's the case, it's not impossible for young Master Meng Yuzheng to be the one marrying Wang Luoyu in half a month's time. However, I don't think that's possible. As far as I know, young Master Li Feng is very fond of Wang Luoyu. It's impossible for him to abandon her. Wang Kuei's last sentence was a spur-of-the-moment thought up. At the same time, He wanted to push the blame of the Wang clan's rejection of the Ming clan's ultimate powerhouse onto Li Feng. The Wang clan was not afraid of an ultimate powerhouse. However, if they could avoid offending him to death, they would do so. Of course, to put it bluntly, Wang Kuei's actions were already diverting the trouble away. Until now, Wang Kuei still felt that he could not see through Li Feng, a peerless genius from outside the heavenly sand realm who was not even 10,000 years old, but whose strength was close to that of an invincible higher godly master. Even in the outer realm, or even the myriad realms, such an existence was definitely one of the top ones. Now, he was doing this not only to appease the anger of the newly ascended ultimate powerhouse of the Ming clan in Kanglan City, but also to see what kind of choice that person would make in the face of pressure from an ultimate powerhouse. When he said the last sentence, he had already guessed that Meng Yujing would definitely bring people to look for Li Feng. What happened next was just as Wang Kuei had expected. Meng Yujing asked Wang Kuei to bring him to see Duan Lingtian. Naturally, in their eyes, that person was a young man named Li Feng. Young Master Meng Yujing, if you want to see young Master Li Feng, I can pass on your message. However, I'm afraid it's not appropriate to bring you there directly. Wang Kuei did not bring Meng Yujing there directly. After all, he did not want to offend the young man named Li Feng. How about this? I'll go and see young Master Li Feng first and ask for his opinion. What do you think? Humph. Meng Yujing snorted coldly. You can tell Li Feng directly? If he dares to not meet me, even if he completes the wedding in half a month, he might not be able to live to be with Miss Wang Luoyu for the rest of his life. Meng Yujing's eyes flickered with a fierce light as he threatened Wang Kuei. When Wang Kuei heard this, he frowned slightly. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Meng Yujing. Clan leader Wang, I know your Wang clan has supreme powerhouses. However, I'm afraid those supreme powerhouses might not be willing to make a move for Li Feng, right? In the Wang clan, Wang Luoyu was only accepted as a direct descendant because her brother, Wang Yiyuan, was outstanding. The bloodline flowing in her body is only the lowly branch bloodline of the Wang clan. Moreover, I'm not targeting her, I'm targeting Li Feng. When he heard Meng Yujing say this, Wang Kuei did not say anything else. He only looked at Meng Yujing deeply. Young Master Meng Yujing, I'll pass on your message to young Master Li Feng. In the next moment, Wang Kuei asked someone to bring Meng Yujing and Meng Yujing away to rest. After he left the guest hall, he went straight to look for Li Feng. Duan Lingtian, who had changed his name to Li Feng, did not reject Wang Kuei when he heard that Wang Kuei had come looking for him. Instead, he asked him to wait for him in the courtyard. When Wang Kuei saw Duan Lingtian, he greeted him warmly before he said with a heavy heart, Young Master Li Feng, have you heard of the Ming clan in Azure Water City? The Ming clan in Azure Water City. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he nodded. It seems like a supreme powerhouse has appeared in the Ming clan in Azure Water City not long ago. This matter has also spread like wildfire in Blue Dawn City. If I hadn't gone out during this period, I might not have heard of the Ming clan in Azure Water City. Now, the Ming clan in Azure Water City has successfully been promoted from a second-rate clan to a first-rate clan because of a supreme powerhouse. They're now one of the 6 tycoons in Azure Water City. This was Duan Lingtian's understanding of the Ming clan in Azure Water City. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.